now. Hey guys, welcome to episode 76 of 4PlayerAnimecast. This is the last episode of the roundup for the summer 2017 season. Next episode is obviously going to be fall 2017 previews. There's a lot of series going on there as per usual, but while we have the time, we're going to be talking about some of the titles we have up here and we haven't covered. Some of the stuff we haven't covered yet are still some of the, I guess, big ones, anticipated ones, or I guess big brand names that people watched out for this season. So watch out for that in a little bit. But anyways, we have our co-hosts here today, Nier.
Hi, hello.
Hi. He's a human being that is here on this podcast. How are you doing today? Pretty good? Energetic?
I'm alright.
Genki?
I slept like all day today, so
Okay.
I was gonna watch the live action Netflix Death Note today, but I slept too long.
But then you had better
Didn't
thoughts.
Yeah.
But then your better self prevented you. Yeah, okay.
I'm still gonna watch it, but
Sorry, can I stop interest for a second? Okay. Just before I can't do this. Like I can't. Why are people so like dumb? Oh my! I wanna cry.
Damn.
Can you guys give me? Okay, all right. So just before the podcast, as we do, we use news from Anime News Network. So I opened up Anime News Network, and I saw on the front page, what was it? It was.
Did you actually read that?
No, I didn't read that. I just saw the title and I just puked.
I read
it. That's a terrible idea. But it's like the list, 6 classic anime tropes or whatever, right? And I already like puked a little bit in my mouth, and I was just like, I really don't. Can I like not do this like right now? Like I'm already depressed by again like going through some not very good series this season, but I cannot not do this. And then I'm going through the news right now while I'm doing this podcast, of course, because we do want to provide you with interesting stuff. And I see Anime News Network writes these like columns, articles, whatever, like opinion pieces, I guess, right? And one of the columns says, and I quote, "This week in anime, how did Love and Lies become so boring? Become so boring."
Become.
It took them this long. It took them this long to realize, hey, this series might not be that great.
Like, they've been sitting there watching it the whole time.
They're
all
like,
the way through.
They're like, we couldn't predict that it could become this boring. I'm just like, alrighty then. Alrighty.
Get to episode 11, and they're like, wait a minute. That wasn't very good.
Just, oh god, I just.
You know what they say? You can't judge an anime until episode 11.
Yeah, that's true.
You can't judge an anime until you get a live action adaptation on Netflix.
And then you watch it.
That's true. That's true.
Anyways, Dark. How have you been?
Did Nier finish his week?
Oh wait, sorry. Did you finish your week?
I don't know.
Yeah.
You got fucking triggered, like right when you said that you wanted to watch.
I triggered so hard, I just warped the entire podcast. Anyways,
I have been too busy, so pretty much all I've been able to keep up with is Welcome to the Ballroom.
Yeah.
If nothing else tops Welcome to the Ballroom, which I honestly don't think it will, it's definitely going to be my anime of the season, because like Welcome to the Ballroom is pretty good.
Okay.
So, we'll have to see if Made in Abyss kind of exceeds my expectations, but so far it hasn't been.
Okay. Dark?
I've been pretty much keeping up with everything that I had started with. I think save for Made in Abyss. Made in Abyss, I'm actually just kind of waiting for it to be done, and then I'm just gonna binge it, because it seems like the type of series where if something happens or something's potentially going to happen to a character, like I just kind of want to see it all the way.
Right.
The problem I have with Made in Abyss right now is I don't think it's gonna get to the good stuff.
Really?
I mean, that was the problem, sort of a problem that could be faced in Made in Abyss when it first came out, right? Where it's like, there is this material, but it's not like it's not like a short kind of like arc by arc or mini arc material. And even with stuff like that, or, stuff like that's more popular to common in shoujo, even that sometimes has problems closing out properly, right? So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we're in like episode 10 right now,
Hmm.
and we're pretty much only recently getting introduced to Nanachi, which is like a really big character throughout like the entire
Is that the
series so far.
bunny?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that definitely. Well,
So it took quite a while to reach there. And like the best part of the series so far is still quite a ways away. So I don't even know if they're going to be able to get through Nanachi's like little character arc that they do by the end of the series, unless they have a couple extra episodes from the 12 episode format, or they do some weird thing where it's like, hey, we've got OVAs. I don't think it's really gonna.
Maybe they'll have one OVA, but it's either gonna be some sort of like weird flashback kind of thing, or it's gonna be like whatever, like just light fluff, right?
I don't know. I mean, Nanachi's like flashback thing is they can do that in 10 seconds. It's really nothing. It's just basic backstory of how she turned into a weird bunny thing.
Mhm.
But like her actual character arc, it takes quite a while. So I don't know if they're gonna be able to do that. And then after that is like the best part in the series, which they're definitely not gonna be able to do. Which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
That's fun. And then continue with Dark. You said that again, like at the end, you want to kind of
Yeah.
continue with Made in Abyss and the other series, right?
Yeah, so everything else is, I think I'm like pretty much caught up on Soccer Quest, and that's been solid, but
Is
I think
Sakura
if I-
Quest that new game produced by Sakura Studios?
Yeah,
Who
it's-
currently has a humble
You mean
bundle
Sakura
with
Sakura Quest or Sakura
it's
Sakura Quest?
yeah, Sakura, Cross Sakura.
you guys see that Huni Sakura bundle on
That just like that
I wish I
actual
didn't.
that title like made my arm shake a little bit. I'm just like, is this like, are people really like buying this degenerate shit? Like okay, like we meme about like Euphoria or stuff like that, but like at least Euphoria, like they put in effort, right? Like they're like, we're
You
gonna do
can't.
this theme.
No, I disagree with
Like,
you.
no. It has shitty themes, like no pun intended. It has like it has like really like gore or whatever stuff like that, which is like not
Yeah,
fine,
it's not
right?
churned out. It's not
Yeah,
like fucking.
But it's like they thought about like doing this. They're like, we should do this like really like not fine stuff instead of being like, yeah, we'll just fucking like kick around at a vending machine and then make this fucking game. Like that's not like like this. Like I don't respect
I'll
this.
just draw a bunch of shit and then write some words in between the shit I drew, and then I'll sell
See
it.
these boofs? Like Flash browser game? All right, it's good. It's a visual novel now. Like come on.
Yeah, I'm not really surprised. I've seen people already talking about that on my Twitter feed. They're like, haha, this is an Arrow game humble bundle. Isn't that funny? I love anime.
I've seen so many anime.
I've seen all
So
of
many-
the
I've been a fan of anime for 4 years. And every single
It reached
year,
this
my
peak.
Kumamiko pages grow longer. Every year I'm a fan of anime. I have to write one more page about Kumamiko. So,
The thing is,
Get
the
ready.
anime peaked in 2011, so
it's true. Not wrong.
I believe
Um,
anime peaked in 1999, and once it hit 2000,
2000, it was over.
it just took a nosedive.
It was Y2K. They didn't know what it was for.
Jesus Christ.
I think you guys mean 2015.
No, my God.
That was
please.
year of Unlimited Blade Works Season 2 and One Punch Man.
You're right. It went from a really sharp nosedive up to an even higher peak than 1999, and then immediately down to an even lower nosedive.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus. Anyways, that was all for E-Dark, right? For the most part, again, just keeping all the usual stuff.
Yeah, nothing else special, I don't think. Because nothing's really like, it's not like any movie that I watched came out or anything, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright. And Toast,
What's up?
what have you been up to these past 2 weeks?
I've been eating these Dewberry, Jack and Jill, strawberries and cream cookies. They're pretty good. Apparently they're from Thailand.
Okay.
Yeah, are they from Shokugeki no Soma?
There are
Can
those.
we
Supposed to be
stop
about
talking about
anime, dude?
fucking series, man?
What if you put ketchup on them? Would they be pretty good?
The
What if you
secret
put
ingredient.
ketchup?
What if you wrap them in bacon and fill them with cheese?
And then
I'm
put
just-
ketchup on them.
Yeah, Inspire, don't you
No,
know the
dude.
secret ingredient to hot wings with Parmesan cheese boiled in water is ketchup?
It's like I'm hearing
Sounds
like
fucking disgusting.
That sounds really rancid.
You guys sound like those judges on Shokugeki. How would you know? Have you tasted it?
it's like
Non-believers?
No, I
No,
don't-
but
I don't
purely
dump
boiled
ketchup
wings
on
with
stuff.
cheese with ketchup on it sounds
With
disgusting.
Parmesan cheese.
uh like like I wouldn't even be so offended again if it wasn't for the fact that like by posting the recipes of these things on the end of every chapter, like the dude is like taking it relatively like he's like, yeah, like these could work. I'm just like, no, not really. Not
Are
really.
you saying you've never had curry, risotto, omelet, rice, Inspire?
Can we not talk about this anymore? Please?
You just said a series of words, so I don't even think that's.
They just don't like.
Have you
actually
ever
like-
had? Have you ever had a fried egg? A deep fried egg, Spire?
Can we? Okay. So on the Shokugeki no Soma, what have you been watching?
I've been watching more TQ. Season 9 is pretty.
Oh, good
season
stuff.
11, episode 9 is pretty cool.
I hope you've been
All
watching
right,
the comic
podcast.
subs.
Season 9, episode 9, episode season 11.
I hope you've been watching the comic subs version of TQ because I believe I hear that's the most educational one.
Hell yeah.
Is anyone else even subbing that?
I don't think anybody else like is just, like troll enough to sub that sort of stuff. Honestly, like oh my god. So okay, so TQ.
And that's it.
Sorry.
And
Yeah,
that's it.
TQ.
See you next
Shokugeki no
episode.
Soma. So the other stuff that you said from previous episodes.
Yeah,
so
Yu-Gi-Oh!
keeping up with
Brains. Episode 17. It's pretty good.
those. Oh Jesus. Okay, so that's been pretty quiet. As for me, I've been pretty on the down low again. Kind of web novel, kind of keeping. Okay, this is a really terrible confession, and I should probably never confess to it. But the only ones that I'm like okay, all the series that like I've like talked about, I've downloaded. But the only ones that I've like really kept up to date, if you, I don't know, people are gonna criticize me for this, is Gamers and
Isn't that the
Hajime
one?
no Gal.
Isn't that the one where
And
they're
I
saying
wonder-
like Gamers is a revolutionary new love comedy series, and so is
Yes.
Hajime no Gal?
And I want to say it beforehand that I, as a human being, am able to watch terrible series without giving into the fact that these series are like, I mean, while accepting the fact that these series are terrible.
What's wrong with Hajime no Gal?
Okay, Hajime no Gal isn't terrible, but Gamers is definitely terrible. So,
By the way, I just checked, and Kami is indeed the only group subbing TQ in English.
Nice.
seems good.
I am surprised.
Yeah.
Jesus. But I just I don't know, like
Are
it's
you
been like a
saying
mixture.
you don't like video games?
Yeah, I
Fucking
love it when
awesome.
they play the card of the Mario. But yeah, again, I just
Let me
I don't
ask you
know.
this: did it become less about games and more about wacky love rom-com stuff?
Okay, here's
I
the
mean,
thing.
it's not even
It's not about
well,
either.
Yeah, I mean, it's supposed to be okay. To be correct, it's supposed to be about more about rom-com or whatever, but it's not good. So at the end of the day, like you're like okay, you're like if somebody's at a science fair and then they have like a pile of shit, and you ask them, hey, what is that? And they're like, it's
I'm
a
sorry,
volcano. And
Spire,
you're like,
but in the Scientology association, we call it droppings. We don't call it
No, science fair, science fair.
In the Scientology fair, we call it dropping.
Scientology is fair, yeah. And then,
Or
and
fecal
then,
matter. You can't use that word in the science
yeah.
camp.
And then, so there's fecal matter, and then you ask them, what is it? And they're like, it's a volcano. And then if you say, no, it's not, and then you say, well, it's supposed to be, it doesn't matter either way, right? It's still a pile of shit. Like, okay. So it's that sort of feeling
So
where, like, it doesn't really matter what it's supposed to be when it's just not good, right? So, I mean, not even not good, it's just bad. It's bad. So, uh, not feeling it, but it's like I want to see it out to see how far it can kind of crash. I call it the car crash theory, where or car crash postulate, where people are drawn in, consciously or not, because they want to see this thing, how far like into the shithole it'll go. So that's part of the reason I want to watch it.
Which part of that theory of yours explains where those people call it good?
That is true. Maybe they see it and they just like the endorphins from watching like this fictional car crash. Like, oh, I'm glad I'm not in that shit. Like, maybe that like fools them. But it's
Is
just
is
bizarre
this
to me,
is this
honestly.
show on the same level as a? Oh my god, I can't remember that show.
yeah, it is then. It definitely is if you can't remember it.
On the same level as that, that other
you
show
know,
with the people?
and you thought there was never a girl online, that kind of thing. That's
Oh,
okay.
Well,
I
no, because Netoge is
'Cause
not so much. It's like Netoge. It's not great. Yeah, it's not good. But it's not. Netoge is very, very standard in terms of like how these standard like rom-coms are going on these days. 2013, whatever onwards ish. Um, I guess you could say 2005 onwards, but it's a little bit more of the modern formula. But Netoge isn't bad because it's like logically it's just like the interactions and everything are just terrible. It's more just like, oh yeah, this is this rom-com thing going on, like whatever kind of stuff. But like gamers is legitimately like, this is bad. Like I said out loud like while like some like stuff like a misunderstanding number 57 was going on, I'm just like, this is bad. Like I can't believe how like not good this is. This is
is it because there's not? Is it because there's not enough StarCraft 2 trivia for your liking?
yeah,
Would
they
it
should
be
have
better?
added at least one StarCraft
Would it be
episode, I
better if
think.
there was more game stuff instead of like floating around the game stuff? Like,
So that's
oh,
a
we play
double-edged question.
games.
It's like, as I said, like if you're gonna have it, it better be good. So they try floating around, and again, I like, and Dark also like the sort of Arxis thing where it's like they had the fighting game, they showed specific references. Later on, they were like, hey, fighting gamers do this, this, and this, or like newbies do this, this, and this, and that was nice. But later on, they kind of like run out of steam, and then they start doing stuff like they're playing a kart racing game, and then they got an item. This item is a bomb. Do you know what these bombs do? They blow people up. I'm just like,
Do you know what a Bakudan is?
I was just like, can we like not do this? Like, just we're not like first graders here, okay? Like,
How do
let's
you
not
know,
do
Spire? Anime extends to a varied audience. You
this.
have to appeal to all ages. So if there's something that you don't know, like what a bomb is, you must explain it.
Oh Jesus! But
The
yeah,
man's got a point.
I just, it wasn't that part. That thing wasn't like very well done, and then there was also a parody later on, but of it where it was like there was an episode where at the very beginning there was an exact sort of like, so it was a student council president, and the student council president's doing whatever, and she looks at the group of the other kids that are other girls that are all in the student council, and it's the exact replica of Seitokai no Ichisan, or in English, the student council's discretion. So they made like an exact like replica of that series, and then the whiteboard is the one that, like, it has like weird statements just like they do in Seitokai no Ichisan and stuff like that. It's like boom, and that really, again, that bothered me because, and I'm this is probably going to be you guys fucking throw me on this tangent, and I'm not gonna have time to talk about another one or something about it. But this what bothered me a lot was that this Seitokai no Ichizon reference goes against the whole sort of idea of what gamers try to be to make itself unique. So what do I mean by that? What does gamers want to be in terms of being unique? Is that it wants to make it wants to talk about gamers, like, or it wants to set a background of like, oh, we play games, stuff like that, and we're gamers and how they're accepted by society and stuff like that. And furthermore, not only do they show that like common situations, but they also want to have a discussion, hopefully, right? Like, all these gamers meet up and they're like, like maybe my mom doesn't like me playing games all the time or whatever it is, or people criticize me, blah, 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 stuff like that. And they want to talk like that. And they want to have maybe deeper discussions. And they can throw in rom-com, that's whatever. But that the way it's unique, they should have a unique discussion like that, right? But this whole like, oh, we're making a parody of Seitokai Nichizon just like slaps that in the face, because all these writers are doing now is they're just throwing in whatever otaku fucking references. They don't care about having discussions. They don't care about putting an effort of they're portraying gamers in real life or whatever. They're just making inside jokes now. So it's like at this point I'm just like, okay, like, why does this series even exist as it is? Why even call it gamers at this point? It just, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like, they can be playing games, doing MOBA game all day. It still doesn't matter, because the writers clearly have decided it's not the point. The point of the series now is just to make inside jokes, be like, do you see the Mario Kart and the Seitokai this anime series reference that we made? Haha. Like, fuck it, man. Like, so I was very, very disappointed in that at that moment. So it was unfortunate, and it wasn't even funny. Like, there are funny ways to make references by being clever. It was just like a copy of the Seitokai no Ichizan prop kit, like the kids, the whiteboard, whatever. So it made me kind of angry, but what can you do? It's not a good series.
Newsflash: bad show is bad.
Yeah. Well, all right. That's all right. Well, this is a terrible tangent. But anyways, finishing off the rest of what I did. I was okay mostly on the download, just watching gamers, watching Miguel. I will watch some of the series I downloaded later on. Um, a lot of the reason why I've been on the quiet side is, again, the web novel. I still need to read Wagamama High Spec visual novel that was translated recently. Some other shit is coming out. Oh god, please, visual novels. And some stuff is coming. Real life stuff is coming up. But more than that, I got back into Love Live School Fest recently. School Idol Festival is the full name for it.
What an idiot!
Which is a rhythm MOBA game. And it is idol hell, and which means it's like you have to collect all the idols, which sucks. And then, of course, there's gacha stuff, which sucks even harder. And
Why collect all the idols when you can just collect the one you love?
Yeah, that's true. Except the one you love only comes in like every 6 months, and you're like, okay, this isn't gonna be good. And then, the worst part is there's like an event, and it's like the last. So it's like, Love Live is split into like two generations. There's like a first generation, like a second generation. The first generation is Muse. The second generation is called Aquars or whatever. This upcoming event thing is the last Muse, the first generation event, and it has one of the more like favorite girls in the lot. So it's gonna be a fucking bloodbath, and it's gonna be horrible. Yeah, I know they pronounced Aqua in Japanese, but that's not how it is in English.
Do they do the ranking events where you have to be like the top 3,000 or whatever?
Yes,
just to
exactly.
get the.
There's it's a single card one. So usually these like games these days have I mean, not even just like the idol ones, but like card collection games in general, or girl collection games in general. Have these thing where it's like, the events have a points-based card, so if you get to a certain amount of points, like 50,000, you automatically get this card regardless of the ranking. Then there's a ranking card, where you have to be within a certain ranking to get these cards.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that. That's I fucking
However,
hate that shit.
this time around, it's a single card. The only card available is a ranking card.
Yeah.
So it means there's even going to be more competition. So, it's going to be horrible. Anyways, but even more than that, I got into the 2 other Idolmaster fucking Million Life Theater Days, also known as Mirishita in Japanese, or the abbreviation, and Cinderella Girl Starlight Stage, Terusute.
Those aren't anime.
I know, and I've just been grinding them, and they have like events on events, like rotating, overlapping with each other. It's been the most horrible but like exhilarating thing I've ever experienced. It's been bad, but so yeah, that's been keeping me fucking down. So that's that. But I've also watched some the Chronos trailer. It wasn't very good. It's supposed to be action, but it's not. Like, it doesn't provide much action. It has like a lot of setup animations, like activate or like bury or enhance, stuff like that. But it doesn't have like when it actually like attacks, like the bullets attack or the parts attack or whatever. The animations are pretty terrible. So
Wow, that reminds me of another certain action series.
yeah.
So you're saying it's not a very good sports series?
What?
What?
You just
What?
had the perfect segue, but good job.
I was trying to segue in Fate, Toast, but
Yeah. Anyways, so let's get right into it. The first series we do want to cover is actually Fate Apocrypha.
What's Fate?
Can we not talk?
I'll tell you what it's not. It's not a show about quizzes that uses that picture that you have.
God damn.
Oh, well,
Oh,
Toast,
okay.
You want to, yes,
Oh,
you're
yeah,
the one
Fate,
leading.
Fate. You know what?
Yeah,
you guys,
Fate.
Yes,
Fate
Fate.
Apocrypha?
You know the massive series that like everybody knows about and you're a massive fan of.
Yeah.
Fate, that show.
The one where you're like the only person who fucking cares about those rankings?
What rankings? The top
The
20, the top
Noble
25
Phantasms?
Fate opening
This-
rankings. 'Cause
What?
That
The
thing.
stats or
Yeah, the stat rankings.
I care about stats.
I-
Stats and Fate are cool, dude. But
Hold
like
on.
the
But
anime,
Apocrypha stats?
yeah,
Hold on.
Apocrypha
I dropped my
doesn't
cookie. Where
really
is it?
care
Okay.
about stats, so they're kind of just like, hey, this character needed to die, so he's dead, even though he was pretty powerful apparently. But
Oh, so
yes, you wanna take it off, Toast? Talk about Fate. What's Fate Apocrypha about?
hold on. I dropped my cookie.
Oh.
I need to find it before my dog eats it.
That's pretty much Fate for you.
Yeah, that's
Um,
pretty much Fate.
The
You
missing
drop your
experience.
cookie, your dog eats it, and you go, "Wow, I gained nothing out of this."
All right.
So,
Saber goes for it.
The
barks
difference
at a
with
cat.
okay, I found it. All right. So the difference between Fate
No,
Apocrypha
no,
and the other
no
fates
differences,
is
no
that-
differences. What is Fate Apocrypha?
is that it takes place in a parallel world different from the main timeline, which is Fate Zero, Fate Stay Night, Fate Anorexia. Blah,
Yeah,
blah,
I mean
blah.
it is a spin-off. It's definitely a spin-off. But
Well,
The main difference takes place is that during the Third Grail War, there was some German dudes, and they're like, "Hey, this Holy Grail looks pretty neat," because during that time it was like 1930 and World War II was happening, and Hitler was interested in the arcane and magical stuff, so they stole the Grail.
and then he became a servant, and he was summoned into the next Grail War, and he won.
Hell
The
yeah.
end.
So yeah, because someone stole the Grail during the Third War, there is no fourth or fifth, which is Zero and Stay Night. And then it fast forwards to current times, and then some dudes called the it's hard-
Yggdrasil.
Yig
Yggdrasil.
Goldmeyer,
Yig
whatever.
Millennia.
Yeah.
They have the Grail now, so they're like, hey, we have the Grail that we stole from the Third War, and now we're gonna use it to make our own Mages Association because their family's on the decline, and at the rate they're going, they're never gonna be high-ranking officials in the mage world and whatnot. So like we're gonna upheave the Mage Association because we have the Holy Grail and we're gonna do all the things that you can't do. And so the Mage Association's like, no. And they're like, no, and we're gonna stop you. And they can't. The big difference is they can't use the Millennia organization can't use the Grail because there's this. They have rules and stuff they need to abide by, and one of the major rules is that you cannot. The point of the Holy Grail War is to fight, like all. It's to fight between all 7 servants until only one remains, so that they can have their wish and whatnot. But that can't work if all 7 servants are working together. So what the real Grail does is it has a countermeasure where it summons 7 more servants, so they'll fight against the previous 7 servants. So the Mage Association is like, we're gonna take care of that, dicks. So they become the red faction with their 7 servants versus Millennia's black faction with their 7 servants. Then it's a whole big fight thing between them. But of course there's some miscreants tangled up in this, and their Holy Grail War will not turn out the way they think it will.
Wow.
Whoa!
So essentially, Fate Apocrypha is a battle royale spin-off on the typical Fate formula of kind of like a, I guess a sort of a tournament thing where everybody fights and they.
It's action focused, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I shouldn't be asking that. Like,
I mean, Fate Apocrypha, more so than other Fate series, makes itself out to be more of an action series.
Yeah, I can see that.
It's off
Focus
two
is a
teams.
strong word.
Well, yeah, I mean, the idea is to be more of an action series than other Fate stuff, but it sets off these 2 teams, and it's like, well, these guys have to fight each other. Like, they have to fucking kill each other, and there's going to be a lot more fights than typical Fate stuff because there's more people.
Hell yeah, man. To be honest, that's one of the big strong points of Fate Apocrypha is that instead of all these like one-on-one fights that you have in the other Fate series, you can have there's more group warfare in this one.
Yeah. The initial premise is definitely very alluring for Fate, but I don't think it really like.
It's off the ground.
Yeah, I don't think it really does the whole battle royale thing too well. I mean, the
Why not?
actions-
Like, can you like specify? Like, is the pacing too slow, or like what's going on there?
It's pretty
I was
fast.
gonna say that.
Like you
I
want
mean,
to
the pacing
Too much to cover.
The pacing is fast. It does go through like a lot of fights, but like I kind of just glanced over it earlier, but they do, Fate has a lot of stats in it, right, that are involved in fighting, and Apocrypha really glances over that.
Yeah, it pretty much throws them out the window. Like the
Yeah,
only time they mention it is one time with like one major time where they use a certification is when Berserker of Red. Yeah, no, Black. Berserker of
it's Berserker of Black.
Black Frankenstein shows off her Noble Phantasm, and her master's like, "Whoa, this is the power of a D-rank Noble Phantasm." The problem with that is there is basically no other comparisons that you can make within like the anime alone. Where what does the heck does D rank mean?
Okay.
Yeah, Fate Apocrypha really, really glances over the stats, and if you're a Fate fan that cares about the stats, which I think a good amount of Fate fans do, because that's kind of that was kind of the initial focus of Fate is lore and magic rules and stats and shit. Fate Apocrypha really glances over that, so it kind of just goes, well, this character was smarter than the other characters, so they won. Or this character shot a stronger laser beam that beat the other character's laser beam, so they won. And it kind of foregoes the typical Fate action of being about the stats and about the character's abilities, and it kind of just goes into a laser battle kind of thing. Which, I mean, it's not inherently bad, but it's not really what you expect from Fate.
I mean, if you want a primo example of a really good servant fight, just look up Unlimited Blade Works or Fate Zero, where
Yeah, I mean,
mean,
Unlimited
Well,
Blade
that
Works and
reminds me.
Fate
That
Zero
reminds.
fights are just they're really good because like
Wait, that reminds me. So I mean, like, though how the battles are like choreographed or whatever
they're
animated.
really fast moving. Lots of like what Nier said, lots of explosions and lights. There's a lot, like more
Is
than
it the same
necessary.
quality as like Fate Zero?
no,
You're funny.
that's something I wanted to cover. So Fate's usually done by the one and only UFO table.
Mhm.
Everybody loves UFO table. They're
Is
very
this one
shiny.
is Shaft? No, it's not Shaft.
This is A1.
A1.
Shaft is
Uh-oh.
Fate Extra stuff.
Yeah, Shaft is going to be Fate Extra, which
Is this
I'm pretty
is this
excited.
a case of like you know how like Dio Media bit off a little bit more than they could chew with Konkode?
No,
Is it sort of like
because
A1 kind of stuff?
No,
Where it's like,
I think this is just A1 being lazy overall.
or like they bit off more than they could chew, because I can tell they tried in some situations like this.
I mean,
but-
there's some fights that are like that looks kind of nice, but then you have shit like that very pretty early on, that very first like Mordred showing off her power.
And Sieg
And-
versus Karna, it's
She's fast, dude.
the more
Yeah.
lights and explosions that they have in these fights, the worse the animation gets.
Yeah,
Like in
it's like they're trying to mask the actual animation behind the flashing colors.
like in comparison to like more grounded fights, like when Atalanta and Achilles fight Frankenstein and Sieg and Chiron, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I feel like a good amount of the Frankenstein stuff is pretty well animated, but yeah, the animation is spotty, I guess. It goes from decent it goes from like a serviceable looking thing to just really really bad, like Mordred being like, "Whoa, she's so fast, she's not even animated." Like
is it like you know how it's like one like common trick that they use to do like show teleportation, like especially in like stuff like Dragon Ball Z. It's like they have it like so like fade away and then they just
where they like
teleport
turn
on
into
the
lines or whatever.
What?
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
No,
it
she
wasn't
just
like
doesn't
that.
move.
She just doesn't move. She stands there and like blasts of energy go around, and
It's because she's so fast.
supposed to be that she's swinging her sword or something, but she's not actually moving. She's just
It's
standing there.
It's like a lagging sprint and like
Hey,
an
she
MMO.
fucking lag
Like
switch.
it's like an MMO where you're just like servers lagging or whatever, or like
It's like when an anime does like a samurai thing, and it's like, oh, he moves so fast that the screen goes black, and then there's the like the cutting effect going
Yeah,
across
the
it.
wood
and
gets
then when it goes back, he's in the same pose, and then the guy falls over.
yeah, exactly.
But it's
But
like
they
that,
forgot.
but they forgot to make the screen black, so she's just standing there.
She's just standing.
But yeah, the animation is not. It leaves a lot to be desired from something that's very action focused.
Just know that the less flashy this servant is, the better the fights are.
Yeah, essentially, the weaker the servant you have,
Sort of.
the better the fight's going to be, because there's actual like choreography going on.
Mhm.
Kind of like all the fights in Unlimited Blade Works, but whatever. But yeah, you want to go
I mean-
more on like the actual story progression
The
so far?
story and like
Shit, there was some?
Because I
it's-
haven't really been keeping up with the anime. I've only read like 3 of the light novels, so I haven't gotten the complete story.
the anime moves pretty fast. It's like first.
Is
so,
it straight out? It's straight out up, right?
No, it's heavily chopped up because there's a lot missing towards
Yeah.
it.
Okay, it's pretty.
Because
perfect.
there's a lot of light novels, so I think there's like six of them.
So they're trying to
5?
instead of
Is it 5?
instead of
It's 5.
Okay.
so instead of trying to make a more like promotional aspect, they're just trying to kind of like show what it is, kind of, but like truncating it a lot.
I'm pretty sure this is because it's only gonna be. Wait, what? It's 25 episodes? I thought
No.
Is it really?
I looked up Wikipedia real quick. It says 25. I thought this was gonna be 12.
What's it say on Mall?
Mal also says 25,
Oh
so
my
it
God,
will most
really?
likely be 25.
You guys are in for the long haul.
Oh, baby. Okay.
Like, it moves really quick. First episode, intro. Second episode, stuff. Third episode, like,
Is it completed, by the way? Like the novels?
yeah, it's completed.
Yeah, they
Okay.
yeah, Fate Apocrypha has been.
So they're trying to complete
Fate-
the entire thing.
Fate Apocrypha was back in 2012, and it finished in
14.
2014. Okay.
Okay.
Like, third episode is when, like, something major happens. You know, when Siegfried dies and gives Sieg his heart, and it's like, whoa, that's a big plot thing.
Yeah.
And then after that is, like, the current episode is 10. There's been, what, 3-4 episodes of non-stop fighting? Because there's this big castle, like, the red faction is having a siege on the black faction. Black faction's castle, and so there's this all-out war between the homunculus and golems versus the red faction's servants. This is something major.
You know,
Do you think they're gonna like
most of
slow
it's
down or
just-
something? Because if they're 10 episodes in and they're doing all these fights, like, I don't know, because that's a lot happening in 10 episodes.
they can't really. I can't see them slowing down though, because it's like, as much as Toast just said, there's been a lot of fights. Those fights have not actually led to a goddamn thing.
Well, a couple servants have been taken out already on both sides. Like, they lost. Who's the crazy guy in chains?
Just Berserker Black.
Berserker,
They lost
yeah.
both berserkers. So
They
Sieg.
They lost Frankenstein.
She
Yeah, she
she did the suicide attack against Mordred, but Mordred survived because she powered herself up with the command
because
seal.
her fucking super duper armor.
Okay, wait. So can I ask something? Obviously,
Like,
we
the
should.
point I'm making is they're ramping up. This is like the climax fight of the series, which it looks like. And how are they going to extend this past 25? Like, extend this to 24, 25 episodes?
I don't know. Doesn't
Well, Can I? Okay.
They have to
let
fight
me-
each other after they fight all 7 servants. Though.
Well, let me ask something, and it's like, and this might sort of answer how they approach it, right? Is so I've watched series. I mean, like, this is going along the whole part of like doing one thing well, or like, focusing on one thing, an aspect. But it's like I've definitely watched series. I won't say that they're like the best thing, but I watched series where it's like they just do this one thing and then they kind of throw this other thing like plot or whatever, or character interactions or whatever in the bucket, and they just focus on this other thing, like whether it's comedy or whatever, right? And I've kind of been, had a series where it's like it was kind of driven by that. So there, what it seems to me from what you guys talk about is there seems to be a way to kind of just watch the series and like watch the action unfold, know when the action is like increasing or whether it's decreasing, climax, whatever, and not really kind of have a complete understanding or really have an investment into what this sort of like plot is of the spinoff, right?
I mean,
So there's a way to kind of just watch it and be like, oh, there's these action scenes going on, but I don't really like care about whatever this plot thing is.
so
right? Is
far, like, so far the big plot is that the main character Sieg is a homunculus that escaped from the Black faction, and he's supposed to be like the main character, but he hasn't really done anything much all the way up to episode 10. Like, oh wow. Well, other than the fact that since he's received Siegfried's heart, he's fighting Mordred now.
Mhm.
That's like the first major thing he's done.
But what I'm wondering is that like so going along with this sort of like idea of I don't really care about like these guys. I just care about them just whacking each other with swords.
Yeah, because
Is
so far all the character development that has been done is that you just get in this like a couple of minute backstories between a couple of servants like Mordred and
yeah.
See,
So
yeah.
what I'm saying is that the way it might develop is like, I mean, like wait, have any of you guys read the entirety of the Apocrypha series?
I don't.
But
I
I can only
I know
talk up to
nothing
like
about the
episode
source.
10. So
yeah.
apparently,
um,
I thought this would end at 12, so I was gonna talk a bit more. But if it's 25, then there's a lot that Why am I even talking about this? I could talk about this next season.
I don't know. I've read majority of it, and I mean the point Toast made about the character development is, I mean, that's about all you're gonna get the entire series. It's there's really not much throughout the entirety of it. You know, it
Yeah,
goes
I
through the
feel like
backstory and it.
is it
You have
okay.
really interesting servants like Astolfo, Achilles, like all of them are pretty
Yeah,
interesting in their own right, but
I
they
mean,
won't get much.
in my opinion, that's the major fault in Apocrypha is you have really really interesting servants, and they don't do
Astolfo's pretty
anything with
cool.
them. Um,
Astolfo's the trapper or whatever?
Yeah.
Atalanta's pretty cool too, but
yeah, Atlanta's really nice. Astolfo's pretty fun, but like they don't really do anything with these like really interesting servant designs and even premises of just like legendary heroes. Like even with Mordred, you know, she's king. She's like Arturius' daughter. Sorry, son. She calls herself, but um, and she's basically the reason that Arturius' kingdom fell. Like that's a big deal, and they don't really do anything with that other than going like, "Oh yeah, Mordred." You know, it's
Her master had that nightmare that one time.
wow. Yeah,
That's
there's
about it.
yeah, there's backstory there, and then that's kind of where they stop. Like they go, this is who the hero is, and we're not really going to explore any sort of motivations. You know,
I mean,
like
and
in other Fate series, you know, you'd have the servant talking about not only why the master wants to win the Grail, but why the servant wants to win the Grail as well. You know, they had motivations, but in Apocrypha, it's not really there.
Mordred's
half
motive,
of them- half
like
they don't do.
like in one episode, the same episode where Mordred's backstory is revealed. She says that, oh, I want my wish is gonna be I'm gonna take up Caliburn, the sword in the stone test, and I'll prove to Arthur that I'm king material. That's it.
Yeah, I mean that kind of it really glosses over a lot of who Mordred is in the tale of Arthur in general,
I mean,
let alone Fate.
why isn't Mordred the main character? Like that would be better. She's been in a majority of the fights. She's fought Siegfried. She's fought Astolfo. She's fought Jack the Ripper. She's fought Frankenstein. That's what 4 out of the 7 servants.
That's mostly just because they want to give the Saberface screen time,
Oh
but
yeah.
um, yeah, I mean I think a lot of people going into Apocrypha probably thought Mordred was the main character, but for some reason she's not.
I did,
Yeah, I
Not a
mean she's
loser.
and I honestly thought that they were adapting to the point where they were adapting it to have Mordred be the main character
no.
because
'cause-
she has had like the most screen time at this point.
She's not-
really.
no,
Well, not the most screen time, but she's had the most actual stuff.
like
happen
out of
show.
a female protagonist of the series, if Sieg's the male, the female one is going to be Ruler. She's appearing everywhere. Even
Yeah,
though
I
she
mean,
hasn't done much so far.
Well, Ruler doesn't do much until like the later half of the series, where it starts getting to like actual, the workings of the Grail.
Yeah,
But
because episode 3, Siegfried gives Sieg his heart so he could live on because he was gonna die, and then Siegfried's like, hey Ruler, do me a favor and help Sieg to live, and she's like, okay. Like even though that's beyond her,
even though that's not what she's supposed to do,
like
she's
And
supposed
she
to be
said
neutral.
she
the
wasn't
ruler
supposed
class,
to.
the ruler class is a special class for Grail wars such as this that involve more than 7 servants. They're supposed to be like an impartial judge and whatnot. And so, I guess the reason why Jean d'Arc ruler is helping Sieg out is because he's a homunculus that didn't have any relation to the war at this point. I mean, there was this, one of the episodes is they're just like she's discussing with the black faction that the black faction's like, hey, give us back our homunculus because he's our property, and John's like, no, I promise Siegfried, I'll take care of him, and the black faction's like, you dick, and then she's like, want to have a go, mate, and then they're like, damn, I'm sorry, and they left.
Ruler in Apocrypha is kind of taking the role of how the church was a role in Fate Stay Night and Fate Zero, right? Any master that lost their servant, they could just sit there in the church and they'd be safe. I think
Rulers are supposed to be impartial. Like they they won't care if you attack them as long as you get like everyone else plays fair to the rules. Like this, like you do this faction attack this faction, that's fine. That's all within the rules. But if they happen to break the rules, which it looks like what they're doing now,
Well, I mean,
Or-
everybody always breaks the rules in Fate.
yeah, that's true. If there's some sort of anomaly within the Holy Grail War, they're supposed to take action. And from the get-go, the red faction has been like directly attacking the ruler, and so she's like, "What the hell are you guys doing? I'd better investigate this." And that's what she's been doing the past 10 episodes after saving Sieg.
Yeah.
And it's like she's supposed to be the main protagonist. All she's been doing is running around. She hasn't been interacting much with like people other than Sieg.
So
Well, her stuff really kicks in later on, you know,
Yeah, I
in
mean,
the later half.
I'm
So,
really surprised they went the 25 episode route. Like, it feels like it's moving really fast.
That is surprising to me because everything I've heard from people watching it is that the pacing is really breakneck and like they're glossing over a shitload of stuff in the light novel.
Yeah.
So it's weird to me that they're going with a 25 episode format and
well,
just
are they? How far in like the novels, like volume wise, are they in right now? Like you said, they're up to like episode 10 or so, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
they're on,
I'm
I
not
think,
sure
10.
if I'm not sure if it's within my right to talk about the light novel at this point.
No, which volume are they in? You said there were 5 volumes, so they should be around like volumes 2, 3-ish, right?
I mean,
where are they at now, Toast? 'Cause I'm not keeping up.
I don't know if it's within my right to talk about the light novel because this is a pacing problem within the anime.
No, I know, but
Like,
I'm just
No,
trying to
he's
get like a
saying
measure.
where are they around?
But yeah, but like where are they at
I
right
don't-
now?
I
You just need to get like a
Like,
sense
what
of
are
like
they doing?
what's happening.
I don't remember exactly. But this fight itself seems like this really big confrontation between all the servants. And are they like within the anime, like just judging from the anime itself, are you guys telling me you have enough content that there's going to be enough servant battles for another
Maybe
Another
they're
14
gonna
episodes?
chuck in like other
Like-
shit. I don't know. Maybe they're gonna chuck an anime original shit. It wouldn't be too far past.
This
like,
is a
what
really
Fate has done
big
before,
war
so.
between
I
all
don't know.
servants.
That weirds me out. Like chucking in anime original stuff if they have, like, if they're skipping over so much of the light novel. You know.
I mean,
That's
they,
true.
they
really
could probably
weird.
get through it because like the main character Sieg hasn't done much until now. 10 episodes in, you'd expect him to do more, but apparently not.
Well, neither
Huh.
has Jean, you said too, so
Yeah.
like that's potentially for the second
Yes,
half
that-
as well.
Just like one last question before we do have to wrap this up.
I-
But I just like, so from this, like, you guys are talking about like, who from the light novel, maybe should be coming in, or like do they have enough sort of development or whatever this. But
They've
what I'm
already
wondering is-
introduced all the characters. Like all,
what I'm
there's no one else that's gonna come in.
Okay, so what I'm wondering is that if I told you guys, like, I'm just, I'm just in it for the action or whatever, right? And like, obviously, I'm not like I know like
Guess
the
what do you
basic.
care about action?
Go
Liar?
watch fucking Recreators then.
No, if I was to say that, as like a viewer or whatever, I mean, I guess I would not be the best example because I do have like the basic sort of information about Fate and stuff like that. But it's like if somebody came in and they were like, I don't know anything about Fate, but I just want to, watch some action or whatever. Would you recommend Fate Apocrypha to them, or would you still recommend them to some other Fate series?
I'd still recommend UBW. It's just
Okay.
better overall. Like even even with my, I haven't finished light novels, but like what I do know about the light novels,
Mhm.
I wouldn't really recommend the light novels either. Like the overall story is pretty mediocre. Like it's an interesting premise for sure. Like just having this big huge battle between a bunch of servants, but like the overall story's pretty mediocre. There's really no character development for any of the servants.
Unfortunately,
And even for a lot of the masters, like nothing really happened. So I would really recommend UBW or Zero even, like just
I was gonna say,
Fate, just Fate Stay Night and Zero. They're really the only
They're the mainstay
spectacular
stories for a
standout.
reason.
Yeah, like when you recommend somebody to get into Fate,
Mhm.
you
The
recommend
super
them
ones,
Fate
Yeah.
Stay Night and Zero for a very specific reason. Because
Yeah.
a lot of the other stories, they're not great. Like, Extra has
Or they're not represented well.
yeah, like extras got some nice merit in terms of like fan service and being pretty unique. But like as a standalone story, I think you need to be pretty into Fate to get into Extra.
Okay.
But yeah, I would just recommend the mainstays of Fate. Fate Stay Night and Zero.
Okay. What about you, Dark and Toast?
I would. I'm pretty much on the same page as Near. I haven't seen UBW yet because I haven't finished Zero, but I think I'm close to finishing Zero still. I just have to actually do it. But even Zero's like maybe I only finished season 1, but even Zero's like servant, not servant. It's like master fights and stuff have a lot, I think, better action. Like they're better or action.
Yeah. I mean, people like Zero just because the masters interact a lot more in that.
Yeah, and it's action in that I feel is more rewarding, I guess, as a viewer. Like it's more intense and there's more like stuff going on in the action scenes than there is in Apocrypha. Even if you're like, oh, I don't really care about the plot, like there's a lot more going on in an action scene than there is in Apocrypha. Apocrypha doesn't really feel like there's much impact going on.
You could say
at
that.
a time.
You could say that is because of the nature of Kiritsugu as a Magus killer. He doesn't live within like the boundaries of normal mage laws where they do one-on-ones. He's more of like a sneaky
Yeah,
assassin type.
he lays the traps and
Like
he's less honorable and stuff like that.
he'll deliberately go after the masters while the servants fight. You can't say the same about this one. Probably because okay, the Black faction they control the entire this town, which is set place in Romania, Transylvania, whatever. So they don't have to fight on the front lines because they have this army of golems and homunculus who will do the fighting for them. So you'll rarely see them on the front lines if they have an army to fight for them.
Well, I just mean in general, like the actual scenes themselves, like the way they're and I don't want to go back to animation, but it's like just regardless, like the things that happen in it in Zero, I feel like they seem like they have more impact. Like I feel like there's too much shit going on.
Well, I don't think
isn't
that's
shown in depth enough in Apocrypha.
Okay.
I don't think that's really an animation thing. I think that's more of a weight thing. Like
No, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I don't want to see talking about animation.
There's a more centralized cast in like in Zero compared to
because in Zero and Fates of Night you have your very set amount of servants, right? So when a servant dies, like that's a big deal. That servant's gone, and that master is completely out of the war, like for the rest of this series. With Apocrypha, you have like a lot of fucking servants. So like, oh, well, that berserker dies. Well, there's another one. Like whatever, there's less impact to a servant dying. So
it was also less obvious who was going to get taken in Zero.
Okay. So I guess with that said,
you didn't ask me.
I did. I said Dark and Toast.
Well, that's Dark's thing. I have my own opinion.
Yeah, right. Toast.
My opinion is that if you want, this is a side stories. This is a parallel world in regards to the mainstay for a reason. It's dumbed down, but it's like there's a dumbed down grill system where all these servants are fighting one another. You don't get a really good measure of their skills or their abilities and their parameters and whatnot like you do in the other ones.
They're kind of just fighting.
Yeah, they're just fighting, but you can tell who's strong. I'm strong in this fight.
Yeah.
yeah, because they say I'm strong.
Hell yeah.
Like that's pretty much all the indicator you really have. Like they don't
There's
go,
battle cry.
like my skill can counter yours, or like this guy's skill is really fucking tricky or anything. They pretty much straight up go, I'm strong, you're weaker. Whatever.
dumbed down fights too, but there's a lot of interesting ones in this. Like the Sieg versus Karna one, you could tell those guys were strong because they were really big and flashy with their attacks.
So what you would be saying to this person who doesn't know Fate, but wants action,
There's
is
other
like,
types
if you,
of there's the other types of fights where it's more guerrilla warfare and siege tactics, which was also really good to watch. Like I've mentioned earlier with Atalanta and Achilles, they're hanging out in the trees doing guerrilla warfare tactics with Atalanta sniping and Achilles tanking Sieg and Frankenstein. And there was this
there are
archer.
redeeming factors to it.
What?
Is what you're. There are redeeming parts to it, is what you're saying.
There's a lot
Like,
there's a lot to like in Apocrypha.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like a hopeless series. It's not. I mean, I know we've been
Like all Fate series.
we've been beating the shit out of this for a while now. But
Yeah.
you know, like I said earlier, the initial premise is very interesting. It certainly doesn't deliver on it like it could or should, but you know, the premise is interesting. It's got a big cast. It's some very interesting servants, and obviously the fights resulting in that are pretty interesting. I mean, it completely disregards skills and stats, but you know, the fights are somewhat interesting. So
And the soundtrack, while it's not as memorable as Calafina or Unlimited Blade Works level, it's strangely fitting. It's a lot of orchestral tracks with like flutes and lutes and whatever medieval
Special stuff.
orchestra stuff. I don't know. I'm not a music guy. You tell
they're
me.
good. They're big orchestral tracks.
There's a lot of really good orchestral tracks, but
Mhm.
like you could tell the setting is more like, well, it lends a medieval, like fantasy type setting to the
Medieval
fights
feudal
between
themes,
servants. Whereas with Zero and Unlimited Blade Works, it's very modern sounding, like tracks, a lot of
Right,
synth and whatnot.
I can get that because of
Apocrypha is
the
mostly
component
orchestra,
difference.
and I appreciate that.
Okay, I can definitely get the difference. So, okay, well, I guess a person like coming in can kind of, I guess, appreciate those good points as long as
But
they
it's a
kind of
side
find it.
story for a reason.
Yeah. Oh well. Okay.
Someone
So
coming in,
Yeah.
if I'm gonna go against what Nier and Dark said, if they really wanted to start with Fate, but they ended up starting with Apocrypha, it's not a bad like launch pad. I guess.
no, I mean that's not what I was
But
saying.
they would prefer
What
that
Spire
they
what
watch.
Spire asked is if somebody was like asking to get into Fate, would you recommend this to them? And I said I would recommend Fate Stay Night over that.
Yeah.
That's true.
I mean, I'm sure any Fate fan would say,
Yeah.
but like if someone was dead set on starting with this, I would. I mean, I wouldn't wouldn't stop
Yeah. There's
them.
no point. Yeah. But yeah. Okay. So I guess to make it really short, although it's not really a short discussion any longer.
I'll come back to it when the series ends.
Okay.
You can't
any last
stop
words?
me because
Okay.
Astolfo's and Atalanta are pretty cool.
Yeah. Any last words? Couple of sentences from each of you.
Atalanta wasn't voted best main girl this season for nothing.
Alright.
Jerk.
So Nier, hey, any last words? Couple of sentences.
I want to play with Astolfo's lucky balls.
Dark.
You know, after that, no.
Same.
I got nothing, man.
Fucking Nier,
I
man.
probably had something. It was gonna be about Astolfo too.
God damn.
His master licks him that one part. That was something, huh?
Toast.
There's a reason. There's a
Very
reason
sensitive.
why I picked. If you guys know that I have this thing where if I was in the Holy Grail, where I would pick this servant or whatever.
Mhm.
There's a reason why I would pick Atalanta as my archer servant over all the other archers, cool archers like Emiya and Chiron and
Artemis.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Atalanta's
I'd
pretty cool.
pick Artemis. Artemis has a bear. He's cool.
Atalanta is the best pure archer out of all the other archer classes.
Alright.
Her You guys wouldn't know this. You guys wouldn't know this watching the anime, but Atalanta's arrows when she fully pulls back her bow are A rank, which was why it's a big deal when Atalanta's arrow pins Sieg to the tree, and Achilles is like, "Whoa, Sieg! Even you're afraid of Atalanta's arrows," because yeah, that's something they should have explained in the anime where.
Well, there's a lot of things they should have explained. They don't.
Like, see, there's a small thing where, like, oh, everyone should know the legend of Sieg, where I bathed in Fafnir's blood and I'm immortal, save for this spot. Same with Achilles, like, my heel. It's supposed to be a big deal when Sieg gets hit because he's supposed to be immune to most low-level attacks.
All right. Well, with that
That's
in
what you get when you don't explain servant levels and rank attacks properly.
Yeah, again, as you said, it's just
You
Fox
get
Rise is a little
stuff
bit
like
more
that.
focused on just getting people to the battle.
Even though
But,
Atalanta is so cool.
Anyways, with that said, thank you, Toast. That was quite a discussion on Fate of Hogwarts. It went much longer than I thought it
We
would.
can go longer next time.
I'm sorry
Yeah.
to say, but any discussion on Fate is going to go
I
quite long on this
apologize.
podcast.
I apologize. Anyways, with that said, we should move on to our final series, or rather, our
No.
second series that
Second?
we.
Was that the second? No, this is the third, right?
No, that was the first.
This
That
is
was
the first series,
Are
dude.
you out of your mind?
Wow.
Because the first one was the one where we went on a tangent about me
Oh.
watching gamers or whatever, remember? But anyways, the second series we want to cover, and this is the last one, unfortunately, is Yokuso Jitsuryoku. What was it? It was like Yojitsu, right, or whatever.
Yojitsu, yeah.
Alright,
Classroom
yeah,
of the
Ryojitsu,
Elite.
yeah, Classroom of the
There's-
Elite. The full name is Yokuso Jitsuryoku Shishou Shugi no Kyoshitsu, or it's
all
like
new
welcome.
and unprecedented all-out war school history starts.
Yeah, essentially, it's the Japanese translation is literally welcome to the classroom where it's like you're valued based upon your real strength, essentially, or something like that.
Essentially, it's borderline plagiarism of another series.
Yeah. So Dark, I've watched the anime and I have read like a tiny bit of the light novel, but it seems to be more or less a straight adaptation. Has anybody else here watched it? Near Toast?
Was that the one where
sorry,
the dude
I
has a
don't watch
really
garbage.
plain voice?
Yes. In fact, it almost sounds like the voice actor's reading it directly off of the script, and you can see him doing it in front of your eyes.
So it is done by Lerche. Lerche is the same studio that did stuff like they actually did the Machikoi anime and they did something else.
Don't you
actually
don't
are-
you mean Samurai Girls?
Yes, Samurai Girls, the English title for it.
Where's-
But they are actually pretty good, decent studio in terms of doing like comedy and like doing the character reactions for that stuff. Their animations are sometimes pretty decent. So it's pretty solid studios. But this time around it's a little bit shaky. You want to start us off, Dark?
Yeah. Okay, so that's like weird now that I kind of know what studio did it, because so this show is basically Bakutetsu. Like that was what I was hinting at earlier. Like Spire said, your worth is judged by your grades and stuff, and then you get points, and then based on those points, you get a certain amount of funny money to spend each month. There you go.
They essentially try to put a survival game twist on it in a sense.
Yeah, it's kind of. I mean, in a way, it is just like even Bakutetsu really had that to begin with. Like it was very.
Yeah, that was true.
It's weird. I don't. When I say this, this show is
Wait,
borderline
are they
plagiarism. What?
Wait, are they at a private are they like private academy with like private housing? No, right? Because it's like they
Yeah.
got transported to.
No, they're in a dorm. Yeah.
Oh, they're in a dorm?
They're in a dorm and they can't leave and they can't talk to anyone outside.
Okay. Because I
They're basically trapped there for 4 years.
Yeah. Okay.
Doesn't make
So,
any sense because
so
they
it
can
is a
also
survival game kind of thing. So
yeah, it's a survival game because their end goal is to be the top class because that school has a 100% employment graduation.
Nice.
Seems good.
Probably
Yeah.
because they just expel anyone who doesn't get employed or graduate. So.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, go on. Sorry.
I mean, there's a billion different things that I could pick apart, and this series doesn't make any fucking sense. But what it comes down to is this series is actually one of the closest things to plagiarism I've ever seen for a show. Kabaka's
So-
test.
so
And
again,
I want to actually make this. Huh?
Like for people that I guess you did mention it earlier on. It's like they use the grades to get Monopoly money, and then they use the
Yeah.
Monopoly money to do stuff that's like that. But for people who don't haven't watched all of the Akata tests and stuff like that, do you want to explain maybe sort of the basic themes that are running through?
So Bakuchi test more of like it uses a similar theme where your classroom setting is based on your essentially like a point system that you earn based on your grade, which
and the
is
main cast is all
also
flunkies.
yeah, and the main cast is a bunch of like flunky misfits that are at the lowest class, which also means that there's an kind of like a summoning RPG element thing to it based on your test scores.
Mhm.
So you can challenge someone to a certain type of like a certain what the hell is it called? Like
Duel,
course
I guess.
or whatever.
Course, yeah, like class,
Yeah.
like course duel or whatever, subject duel, whatever.
Yeah, it's a duel based on your subject score. So
The point is like there's this like difference between these classes, or like the main cast is a whole bunch of like misfits and like delinquents and stuff like that. Well, the quote unquote antagonists, I guess, is like the school and the top like elites. And the point is that they are competing academically, whether it's through these duels or when you just do whether it's through the tests or whatever it is, right? And then through these sort of tests and between the tests or studying for the tests or whatever, the characters interact with each other and they're like, how do you learn, or how do you study, or how do you evaluate yourself in life? Like, blah blah blah, you got an F, blah 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 blah. Like F's don't represent me, blah blah blah, stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
And that's sort of the major theme. Like, how do you evaluate yourself? How do you go through learning? What do you want to be in life, kind of thing, right? Big questions to be sure. But what I want to, obviously, next question, which is the interesting one, is how does Yojutsu handle that discussion?
Is it funny?
Here's the thing. No, it tries to be at certain points, but it fails. Pretty much like all of Yojo, it follows the same thing. Yojutsu follows the same exact sort of idea, but it just doesn't do it the same way. Like it doesn't do it as strongly because it tries to make itself be like, oh, these people learn, like, oh, these people don't want to learn. This guy just wants to play basketball and like rely on his basketball skills to get through school and then have a career. And they're like, but that's not going to fly here. And then really all it boils down to is is them convincing to join a study group with them anyway. And then they all pass with flying colors. Like there's really nothing.
So I mean, the obvious implication next episode would be like, this guy, can learn on his own because he has these survival instincts or something. I guess would be my best bet, right? I haven't actually seen the episode.
No, because the thing is, he doesn't. He joins the group and then he passes, and that's pretty much it. Like it's just them pretty much gathering people for the study group. There's really no difference in learning shown at all or described.
So at the end of the day, he just comes because he's an actual nice guy inside or something like that. Is that how it works?
No, they pretty much bribe him, threaten him, and they're like, "You're bringing the whole class down, and if you think that you're gonna get through here on your basketball skills alone, you're a fucking idiot." So here's like, I don't know, he gets like notes and shit to study from like the top girl in the class. And the antagonist is essentially the same thing too, because now that their class fell to the bottom, they're like the misfits and they climb to the top. And
the elites are looking down upon them.
The elites are looking down upon them, and the main girl's brother is abusive, but they don't seem to really make a big deal about that.
And then they suddenly have a fight in the next to the convenience store.
Yeah, which they should have made a much bigger deal about that, because they have like a fucking fist fight, and the brother's like, "Wow, you're pretty good." And it's like, okay, he just walks away. Yeah. And then he just walks away, and it's like, you were about to sucker punch your fucking sister in the gut. We're just gonna ignore that now? Oh, okay.
What's
I
really
guess that's the thing.
What's really funny is like that sort of moment is it's obvious why they did it, but it's like at the same time it's disheartening because the reason why they did it was the writers want to, or the original writer, I guess, wanted to show this quick show of power level, right? Where it's like the initial sort of sucker punch, or doing he like the top dude, like the brother or whatever, who's the top dude in the school, like suddenly goes into like this martial arts mode. Like he just starts like throwing punches and stuff, and it's supposed to show this like absolute dominating authority, right? Like the antagonist, the final boss, in a sense, right, has this much power. The viewers slash the readers see it, and they're like, "Wow, this guy has so much power," and the MC is supposed to catch up to that. Or
MC's
so it's-
already up to it, though. He fucking
yeah,
dodges.
exactly. And then it shows like, oh, the MC is like the secret weapon. Like, oh, when he feels up to it, he can actually do it. And now presumably the idea is to get the rest of the class up to par, right? But the idea is that like this is a classroom and it's like school, right? So it's like it would have been much cleverer and much more sensible to show them, I guess, excelling in these various subjects that are school-like and like doing it. But these sort of writers are just like, they were just too lazy, and they're like, oh, well, what's the easiest way to show this like power level thing? Oh, let's just have them punch somebody. And that's kind of disappointing. You know what I mean?
Well, they also wanted to stir up pity for the fucking main like girl who was just being a bitch for no real reason for the first two and a half episodes anyway.
Also
so.
Flag. Also
Yeah.
Flag. It killed another bird, and that it created that exposition point for the MC where it's like, by the way, I'm just pretending to be, retarded or whatever. Right?
Yeah.
the MC reveals that he purposefully gets 50s on every test just because he's lazy or something. That is, he's
Just because
he
to be
wants-
retarded for the past 7 years.
Yeah. Pretty much. And now it's time to come out of hiding and show people what I'm really made of. Like it doesn't.
Time
It
to
doesn't
remove
make-
my limiters.
it's like Saki, but like 10 times worse.
Yeah, it's even worse.
I just pretended to be dumb.
But really, I was smart all along. Also, I'm really jacked, and I'm really strong, and I'm really good at fighting.
And I can
And
shoot
I also-
laser beams out of my eyes.
And when I went to the pool, the girl complimented me on that.
Yeah,
It
and
was
then it's
pretty
like,
dope.
yeah, and it's very like, it's obvious that like the original writer, I shouldn't blame just the script writers or directors or whatever, but it's like the original writer and like the sort of the production slash direction team just didn't have a lot of good ideas on how to kind of make this, where it's like, but I mean, from the whole like, what should the survival game kind of form out? What should the themes be like? Oh, how do you learn? How do we evaluate ourselves? So Baka Test had the thing where it's like, just because we're misfits and delinquents, don't treat us like, don't look down upon us. Like we have our own skills, we can find our own happiness, stuff like that. We don't have to be, super studio council president, like A class, blah blah blah. We can team up and do our own stuff. They have that story, but not only does you just kind of not go beyond that, it doesn't even really talk about what it's supposed to be doing so much as it is like, oh, this MC is secretly super smart, or oh, this girl, the cold girl, I guess, who's like the main heroine, the black hair girl who's like super cold, finds out how to work with everybody else or something like that, and it's very like very shallow, and it doesn't really go beyond that the initial discussion that Bakuto Test, again, as Dark said, laid out.
Is it because
Yeah.
the main character is really boring compared to Akihisa?
I mean,
He's like nothing.
yeah, the main character is legitimately nothing. To be honest with you, I don't even know why they decided to go with that, because it really does seem very much like its voice actor is just reading lines from a page, as you know, we know that they are, but you're supposed to not let us be able to tell that. And boy, can you with this series.
Yeah,
And
you said also the mixing wasn't very good. The audio mixing.
that's what I was going to. That's what I wanted to. The fact that this series doesn't only not excel in being a series of what it's trying to set out
having
to
a
do.
story.
Its actual production is not good. It is really bad in some parts. Its audio mixing is all over the fucking place, where the background music will be louder than characters. You'll have characters all talking at the same exact volume they're supposed to be in the background, while the main character is giving a fucking monologue that is also at the same volume.
So it's like Deadly Premonition.
Yeah, pretty much. It makes it's really, really fucking confusing. And there's also fun scenes where they just, I guess, decided not to remove reverb on certain things or just put reverb on everything. So the character's giving a monologue in the swimming pool area, and he has the same reverb on his voice when he's giving the monologue that everyone in the pool has because they're in the pool building.
It's because his thoughts are also in the pool.
Yeah, he thinks about the reverb when he gives the monologue. He does it to himself. And
he's a musical genius.
There's also a really fun part where he walks out of a convenience store, but for some reason they still have the background noise of the reverbed crowd voices inside the convenience store. So it kind of just sounds like he's in a fucking haunted area where there's no life, but he hears whispers.
He brought the convenience store with him.
Yeah, it's really weird. Rina Satao's in it too, and
I forget who Rina Satao voices.
She voices the teacher, and you can very much tell that the voice direction for this show cannot be very on point, because it can't fully be the voice actor's faults, because even Rina Satao is doing a very not good fucking performance here.
She's just supposed to be she's supposed to take this almost, or at least at the beginning, she's supposed to take that sort of role that the Cinderella Girls producer, not the producer, the higher up, that woman.
You mean the one that tried to tank her own business? Yeah.
Yeah, it's supposed to be she's almost trying to be taking that role, but I'm not sure if Rina Satow, I'm not sure if that role is really that good for Rina Satow, I guess.
I think her voice can fit it. It's just that I think she's not given enough range in that role to really do anything, and it seems like the directing in general and the way that character is just doesn't character just doesn't have range.
The woman is just you guys all failed.
Yeah, she's just an evil bitch the whole time, and you're like, what are you talking about? You're like, haha, your performance tests came in and y'all failed and you no longer have any money. And the students are like, can we see the performance test so we can see what the fuck we're graded on? And she's like, no, this is the real world. You don't get that in the real world.
I'm just what world do you not get to see?
You very much do.
Yeah, I know.
If you need an evaluation report at your job, you very much do get one.
Yeah. I'm just what? In what world did they just tell you did badly, but I won't
By the way, you're fired. I'm not going to tell you why, though.
Yeah.
You also, in the real world, you don't get stripped of your paycheck at your job for doing a bad job without any notice.
Yeah.
You don't just walk into work hey, where's my paycheck for this month? And they go, you're not getting one because you did a bad job last month.
Yeah,
that is also illegal. Not something that happens. You also don't get locked in to your job with no ability to talk to anyone outside of it. But the whole fucking show is all over its tone.
Yeah, it's how do I? It's I have one last question I do want to pose about this show, as well as sort of linking it back to what we kind of discussed in game, or linking it back to actually gamers. But it's sort of how do you say this? It's not a direct power fantasy. I want to say it's a I'm gonna coin another term here. I need to create like a spire dictionary here sooner or later of like anime tropes kind of stuff. But it's like an inverted power
Top
fantasy.
6 anime trope.
Yeah,
It's a-
it's like an inverted power fantasy where it's like a power fantasy is somebody that's like, oh, I want to see these cool things happen, and then they kind of perform it in these like novels, right? Uh, but and that sort of in a sense creates this catharsis, right, or this euphoria. And the inverse power fantasy is sort of the opposite, where it's like these bad things are happening, right? Like, and the MC shows them what's what, right? This catharsis created, it's like these slew of revenge novels, revenge-focused web novels that are happening recently in Shosetsu, where it's like, they're being assholes, and we got to take it back, or whatever taking back means. And
Stupid adults.
yeah, and then they're like fuck the law, and then the MC just like takes it back, or like beats them to death, or like beats them at their own game, or whatever it is, right? And then maybe pardons them or not, whichever. Um, and this sort of inverse power fantasy creates this catharsis because there's this bad thing, and then the MC kind of gets rid of it. But or the and this bad thing is some thing, whether it's mental or physical, that's encountered often in real life. And the only issue is that when it's like a mental problem, and by a mental problem I mean like this idea of real life, or like geniuses, people just like with straight up academic talent, just like fucking, I guess, these writers or whoever's being maligned over, right? um, it sort of becomes skewed, right? Because a lot of these guys, the writers, whoever, right? I want to say, is it safe to say that they're not like, let's say like science graduate schools from like Tokyo University, right? So it's like they had this sense of like, how do you write this story about this Bakuto test story, as Dark said, about these misfits, but like charming, ordinary everymans, fighting against these, liberal academic elites, right? Are we seeing this like similar tone in some other forms of media, right?
Yeah.
So, uh, but then starts becoming skewed because this perception, like, because they haven't like sort of researched or experienced what this sort of academic differential is, what it means to be learning or evaluating at different levels, not just at the everyman level, but at the high level or at the very low level or whatever. So they get the skewed sense where it's like, these elites are just cold, calculating machines that just know how to get A's and nothing else, like that sort of thing, right? And so it becomes catharsis in some sense, where it's like, if you were put into these, situations and you kind of saw it like, oh, these guys are just looking down on me, you might get this catharsis. But as sort of like an overall series, it's very kind of flawed, right? Because that's clearly, if you just kind of look at it from the outside, that's clearly not how people act, right? Like these like academic elites don't just like come sucker punch girl next to the convenience store and then suddenly explode into martial arts, right?
I
That's
know
not
I
how
did.
yeah.
We've obviously have very different high school experiences.
Yeah. So it's very it may be cathartic, but it's very like short-sighted in a sense, which kind of leaves a novel out to dry, like down the road. And that's sort of what I kind of find puzzling, because a lot of these guys are just like, it's very, it's like this, and like with with gamers, a lot of people are like, it's very relatable. I can empathize so much with it, like see
Wow,
these themes, like
that main character
so
is so
me.
me.
yeah, exactly. Like see these gamers, in the corner like playing these mobile games, or see these guys, working hard, this every man, fighting against these like academic elites who are like tops of the school, who are like looking down on me and stuff like that. And it's like there's not that much portrayal of that in these series, and the whatever portrayals of those cathartic experiences, whether it's the gaming or whether it's the fighting against the elites or whatever, whether that comes up, they're not that good. But what I'm wondering is that these people who are supporting it, I'm wondering if they're kind of just viewing it through that inverted power fantasy, I'm wondering if they're kind of just viewing it like, oh, because I experienced this thing where it's like I got, C's or whatever on my test, but then this guy
I could do
got
it if
A's.
I tried.
Yeah, I know, exactly. Like I could do it if I try, these guys are just, skipping ahead. All they know how to do is just,
That's not a good way of thinking at all.
See, the
Eh,
thing,
I'm
I
wondering if
think
they're looking at it through that way and getting this catharsis, and they're supporting it because they're like, right?
I mean,
That's not good.
maybe.
That's not good for the Japanese student
I mean,
population.
I'm not, regardless of the impact. I'm not saying
Anime
that's
is not
a
good for the Japan.
No, I'm not like regardless of the impact. I'm not supporting the impact. What I'm saying is that whether my theory, do you guys think that this theory could have like a large factor in,
Yes.
or at least
I think it can definitely have merit.
That's called the Kirito syndrome, where
the
you
curious.
like, yeah,
I could do that if I was a beta tester.
yeah,
I could do that if I was a beta.
I could do that if I was a beater.
If I was the lonely beater, that would be me.
Yeah, wait, dark.
I think another major problem with this series that people are definitely just ignoring for some reason as well is the fact that this isn't Baki test in the sense that they're just going to like a school that has academic diversity.
And then it has like a weird
people
teaching program.
Yeah, these people got accepted into the most elitist fucking school in Japan.
Yeah.
They're already elites. They are just stupid and decided not to study for the first fucking month.
right.
The fact that the basketball guy gets bad grades and then immediately bounces back when he starts studying, just didn't care and was like, I don't care, I just want to play basketball, so I'm just not going to even bother.
Yeah.
Like, that's a different type of elite.
Yeah.
There are people in the world that get full scholarships and don't really need to keep up their grades that much to stay in a sports program because they're good enough.
Right.
Like,
Yeah,
it's just
that's how you get basketball players believing the Earth is flat.
Yeah. You don't, like, that's a completely different type of elite. It's just not based on like
Getting A's
hard
or whatever.
academics.
Yeah.
I mean, have you guys ever walked from one end of the earth to another? You notice you go in a straight line.
It's true. But like the whole problem is like I said, like I don't think people are considering that. They're thinking like, oh, these guys are misfits and they get bad grades, and it's like they got bad grades one time, and then they all by episode 2, the entire class except for 3 people that just refused to go to the study session all had above a 90 on their fucking test.
So what you're saying is that this sort of like initial perception, the way the writer wrote them and maybe how viewers saw them as like, the everyman, the blah, 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 like whatever, is, fighting against, the elitists is actually flawed because they are in the story, like logically, they are actually very, very talented. It's just that because of the story or because whatever, they just don't care to do it.
Yeah, well, because what happened was they literally set up the plot arc of them falling into this thing where they were like, oh, the teacher didn't yell at them
F class.
for falling asleep. The teacher didn't say anything when they were late. The teacher didn't do anything when they were talking during class.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like they fell into this thing of like, oh, we don't need to pay attention. We don't need to do anything
Right.
to succeed. And then they didn't do anything, and then they took a test, and then they failed.
Right.
Then the moment that they started studying again, the moment they studied, the first test they studied after, they had 98 to like 95s and shit. None of them had a score below that except for to study again.
Right.
So I was like, and then as soon as those people studied again, they got 90. So it's like no one here is actually having to work to get these scores. Like there's no progress being. It's instant. They've already had that skill.
It's
like
not like Baka the test where it's like Akihisa is actually just like dumb.
Yeah, like no one there is actually like learns a different way or at a different speed or none of them are different in any way, shape, or form for that. Mm-hmm. So that I think is a huge problem with what they're trying attempting.
And people are overlooking it because
people are very much overlooking.
Yeah.
Because they're like, they learn slower because they're class D. The only reason why they're class D is fucked up for the first month to begin with.
Yeah,
For all intents and purposes, if they did that first, if they did what they did now in the first test, they would have actually been in contest with the upper classes already.
Right. I think that's actually an important like symbolism that like creates this like sort of I don't want to say like hyper reality, but like it creates this like almost brainwashing kind of thing because it's like, you know, you guys are in F class, and boom, and like this like trope just like hits people like a truck, and it's like automatically they're like, okay, these guys are like, you know, like dodgeball, like every man kind of thing, it's fighting against like the super jack, like, you know, like awesome dudes, whatever, right? And again, like that's not necessarily the case.
Yeah, it's like you can only get up to 100 on the test, and these people all had within 5 to like maybe 6 or 7 points that I saw to a 100. So it's like there's really no growth to be had at this point. Just that they fucked up in that first month, and now they have to find a way to somehow get a lead.
How does that compare to like the other series back at the test when they had the A class versus the F class?
The F class straight up tries to cheat and use other tactics other than academics to get a pass. So it's like they actually do use different sorts of like, you know, the basic way to say it would be like street smarts versus book smarts and stuff like that.
And in this series, it's all book smarts, right?
Yeah, it's literally because they don't do anything but take a test that we also don't see them take anyway.
Yeah.
Who cares?
It's
like they don't show the studying leading up to it. They don't show the test itself. They just show the fucking scores.
Yeah.
Like who cares? We're not seeing it.
I'm
also very confused as to what they're doing in the series.
Yeah, I just find it very unfortunate that it's like this, you know, people are like it's like so you know, I can empathize with them, it's so relatable and an often connotated keyword, but not necessarily one that follows logically, is that it's deep, right? It's like dramatic, it's like I can empathize with them, and that makes, you know, these characters more human, and that therefore it makes them deep or something like that. And this sort of thing where it's like it becomes this like deep series because people see the series another way that may not necessarily be the correct way to see it is it's like we have this series where they're just like, yeah, people are just miscreants, but they're good miscreants, and then they can work together to get A's. And then people are just like, wow, that's deep. And I don't know, that's very sort of unsettling in a way, right? Because people are
yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate because it's like if you want a series like that, then it is Baka test because it's like, well, what really matters to us is it going to be a grade, or is it going to be the fact that we're doing pretty okay and we actually are not human piles of shit just being by ourselves and stepping on everyone else to get a good grade, and we're actually like working together and building life skills with each other and friendships and bonds.
Yeah.
Whereas like, you know, the upper classes aren't really doing that, and that's why we can outsmart them and like outperform them in this area.
Exactly.
Whereas this series, whereas this series is like, well, we're not as cool, but we get good grades too, and we also hate each other just like the upper class.
Yeah.
So really, there's nothing separating us.
Yeah.
Also, the fact that they're just like, you know, they introduce all this stuff. They also don't know the idea of motivation behind actions, because they introduce a thing very early on about different motivations behind actions for characters, and they're like, the main character doesn't want to give up his seat for an old lady on a bus because he doesn't want to get involved.
As you do.
And it's like, what the fuck? And then he's like, oh, I saw you, like the elite girl in his class, essentially, black-haired girl. He's like, I saw you didn't want to give up your seat either. That's why I was staring at it. She was like, I didn't want to give up my seat out of conviction. And he's like, isn't that worse? I'm like, no, because you're both fucking idiots that didn't give up your seat for an old lady.
Regardless of the reason, you're both bad fucking people.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I didn't want to get involved. Involved in what?
Getting
up and giving an old lady your seat? It's not like someone was like, it's like, yeah, the old lady was trying to get it.
If he got involved, that would have taken it off another episode, dude.
Yeah, because he was like the old lady was trying to get a seat from some fucking slick haired back snob who may as well be Leo in the series.
What if
And-
that's supposed to be funny? Haha, it's supposed to be a haha moment. Like,
No, because you see, it wasn't supposed to
XD.
be funny because the organ music that was playing in the bus got louder and louder and louder instead of cutting out completely. By the way, they do a lot of things in that show for some reason where I said the mixing was bad, but it's not just like from one scene to the next. They will literally make a song get way too fucking loud in the middle of a scene, and it will be overpowered. Like it'll hurt your fucking ears from being fine to actually
all of a
being too
sudden,
loud to listen to.
Kazoos start playing.
Yeah,
People
yeah.
start drinking coffee.
It's just it's worse. I would say it's worse than Life is Strange. I'm fucking all
Shout
over the
out to
place.
Life
I'm
is
having like a
Strange.
stroke. Shout out to Life is Strange bonus
Like
deal.
strange before the storm, baby.
But yeah, it's all over the place. Series is not very good, and its character designs are also borderline plagiarism for the main character and the redhead, considering what this series is.
hey man, Tomosaku Shin's, yeah, that guy. He's a pretty good artist. You know who I'm talking about.
Do I?
Sure, I
Do I?
don't, but I don't
What?
actually.
Tomose
I'm not a
Shinsaku.
weeaboo.
Wow, you haven't read his Baka to Test dojins? They're pretty good.
No, why would
I don't read hentai. I'm not a degenerate, all right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not a
What are you-
pervert.
Yeah.
All right.
None of us are hentai readers in here.
I don't know,
alright?
Spy. You're the only one who perked up when I mentioned
I
it.
I don't go into people's houses and say there's radiation. Okay.
I need to check up your skirt for some radiation here.
My
I'm
Geiger
not like that.
counter is off the scale.
Oh Jesus. Anyways, and so I guess any last words for Yojutsu Dark?
Yeah, this show is like not good on a lot of levels actually.
Yeah,
And
don't
it's-
believe the lies, please. Please
Yeah,
don't believe the lies.
it's strange because
Break
it's,
the conditioning.
yeah, its
got-
production is not good. So that should be your first flag that the production of this show is not very good. The animations and the like visuals are okay. The audio is awful. Also, the comedy is not good either because the comedy can be
is
summed up.
awful.
The comedy
God.
can be summed up to a character saying a line and then the music cutting out when they say that line.
Haha,
That's it.
shock
That's as
factor.
far as you fucking get.
And the thing is, like, there's this thing where it's like, the quiet dude or the MC is essentially the Sukomi, right? But it's like he's so supposed to be so low energy and he's supposed to be so quiet. He usually does like inner monologue. So he's like somebody does something stupid, and it's not even like that stupid wacky. It's just like kind of stupid. And then the boy like monologues. He's like, "That's not how it's supposed to go," and that's a Sukomi. And I'm just like,
Haha.
Haha.
That's so me. That's my comedy.
Japanese anime or something?
that's like how it's. That's literally how he sounds, except with a tiny bit less slurring.
No, if
Maybe
this was
he's
that,
secretly drunk.
Just like
I wouldn't be surprised if his VA was fucking drunk in every
Yeah.
session that he did.
yeah, it's just it's very wonky. So I would also recommend against watching this, even though people are always like, "Man, this is secretly so like creative and empathetic
So
and
deep, dude.
yeah, it's so deep." Again, dramatic does not mean deep.
Is it
Again.
like you wouldn't recommend it because it suffers from the modern day like stuff? It's way
What do you
too
mean?
like similar to any other stuff that happened.
No, it has nothing to do with similar stuff so much as it is the themes that it tries to
It's
explore.
dry pan comedy compared to Baka to Test. Pretty good comedy.
No, it's just not comedy.
It's
There's
not.
no. It's not deadpan or anything.
Yeah,
They
it's not
try. They try and tell a joke. Like okay, so here's a joke. Like the character, they're sitting at a lunch table, a cafe table, where mostly only girls go, and he invites the like cold girl because he's like, oh, I need you to come here, and this other girl wanted to talk to her, so he sets her up essentially without her knowing. And they go there and they sit at the table, and he's like, hey, it's kind of funny. We probably almost look like a cut, and then he gets cut off by her staring at him.
Yeah, that's
Flare, and
that's
the music
deadpan
cuts
comedy.
out. It's not. It's just not funny.
Yeah.
It's not comedy at all. Like it's not. They're not doing anything funny. She's just staring at him. And
What if he's the book and she's a Sukomi, man? It's a manzai.
it's just not. It's Like it. But the thing is, it's like, okay, so it's a joke, but it is the most basic version of that joke. Like it's not even that we've seen it before; it's that we've seen
It's green eggs and
different
ham.
renditions.
It's green eggs and
Yeah.
ham deadpan comedy. It's like,
But I love
It's
green
like
eggs
the
and ham.
basic.
My favorite literature of all time.
You're not supposed to like them on
No.
a train or in the rain.
Or in your brain.
Woohoo!
All right. Anyways,
Is that the secret ingredient in Shokugeki no Soma? Fucking brains.
brain cream.
Halloween's right
You just,
around the corner.
you just open up somebody's skull and then you pour the green eggs and ham into that.
Green,
And then you eat it
green
out of
eggs
it,
and green
and
eggs and brain. Yeah.
It adds that extra texture and it makes you like come all over the place.
Yeah.
But there's
It's just,
two,
this is
actually.
Chinese hoodoo, dude. This is
Yeah.
Chinese hand waving.
Fucking
um,
anyway.
But yeah, anyways, that was again. Thank you for leading the discussion on Yojutsu. Unfortunately, we did not come out with it with a favorable impression as so many other places apparently have taken. But I mean, it's
Just watch Baka to test.
yeah, it's better to
Yeah,
watch fucking test or just
literally.
again not watch this series. It's
Yeah, or just don't watch.
yeah.
Save yourself.
Okay, and with that, again, thank you, Dark, for leading that discussion. We will finally move
Yeah,
on.
thanks for
news.
nothing, jerk.
Thanks for telling us about a terrible series. But yeah, we'll move on to news. This time we actually cut the news segment a little bit short just to try some things out. We'll only have a couple of stuff today. They are still pretty interesting though. First off, Death Note gets 12-hour audio drama in English and German. Jonathan, written by writer, translator Jonathan Clements, and he wrote this drama based upon the anime. So again, it is both in English and German versions, and it is 12 hours. I'm not sure why it's
Holy
12 hours,
shit.
but
Is it like 1-to-1 for like a 12-hour?
12 hour audio drama?
it's like the entire anime. They just read the script out loud in English and German.
Is it like
It's
the
just
one
a
recording?
fucking PI mumbling to himself for 12 hours straight.
ASMR Death Note.
How long was the original series?
Like 30 something episodes, wasn't it?
Yeah, 12 hours. Holy shit.
12 hours in one sitting, you know.
Back to back Death Note audio drama.
Man, you know,
No rest.
I streamed all of Lane that one time. That was 5 hours, and that was fucking draining. I
Yeah.
can't imagine listening to something for 12 hours.
That
Yeah.
made me never want to watch that series ever again. So.
Hey man, it's pretty good.
Oh no, it is very good. I don't think I'll ever do it ever again. So I can only imagine what a 12-hour fucking like audio experience.
Maybe
would
you
be.
should have streamed something good like
Are you saying Lane isn't good?
Arya the Scarlet
I'm about to
Emerald.
fucking fight you, dude.
All right, we need to
Maybe
move
you
on.
should have streamed all 48 episodes of Sao, like me.
Yeah. No.
Maybe then you wouldn't have been bored.
Maybe then I would have just wanted to kill myself instead.
But if you die in real life, you die in the game.
Damn. Really makes you think.
Okay, so moving on to the next piece of news. IG Port being the general sort of
Production
group.
IG.
Well, production IG, but also has control over production IG, Zbeck, Signal MD, which is I believe their 3D CG place. Wit and Mag Garden. Mag Garden is I believe either their digital manga stuff or they're just like general magazine publishing company. So that's all combined under IG Port. It's sort of like how Alphabet is with Google. But anyways, IG Port, the parent company of animation studios Production IG, Wit Studio, Zbeck, Signal MD, and publisher Mag Garden, released its report for its previous fiscal year, June 1st, 2016 to May 31st, 2017 on August 30th. The report provided a breakdown of the earnings of the individual companies. So this is interesting. IG Port reported a net 170.5 increase in sales from film projects and a 29.5% increase in sales for television anime and anime video projects, but a 19.8% decrease in games and other projects. Overall, it reported a net profit but 3 out of its 4 subsidiary anime studios reported a net loss. So Zebek, Wit Studio, Signal MD, all reported losses. Production IG was the only one that came out with a profit. So, what do you guys think?
Uh,
I think Production IG maybe chooses their series a little better.
it's their fault for waiting 4 years for the Attack on Titan season 2.
Well, Zebek was also like Zebek used to be a
4
pretty solid
years, man.
transfers.
That's a very Attack on Titan is a very strong series and did well. Maybe if it was like a 2 years, see, like 2 years, or what they did with Fate, with like a 1 year delay between it, they would have sold more and gotten more money.
Like they did with Fate and delayed Heaven's Feel for like a fucking decade. That was cool.
Yeah, remember what happens at the end of Fate Zero Season 1? They're like continuing in this, and it was like the next anime season. People were
Yeah.
like, oh.
Again, a little bit unfortunate that all the company
Pick your series better, jerks.
it is unfortunate that these studios that are not named Production IG are kind of suffering under the IG port umbrella. But we'll see how they kind of work it out, whether Zebek becomes more of a sort of assistant comp studio, or whether they kind of pick out better series for Zebek and the others. But yeah, moving on. On the sort of weird anime series that are coming out soon. You wanna read this, Dark? You wanna read this title? I think you were the one. No, you weren't even the one that showed it to me. It was actually Session, one of the viewers in chat.
Fuck is this?
All right, Nia, you want to read this?
I don't know this language.
This
Netflix,
Osaka thing?
What?
the Neo Yokio.
Osaka thing?
No, the one right above.
Oh,
Oh, the Netflix
That
one.
was-
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Netflix reveals Neo Yokio animated series collaboration with Production IG and Studio Dean.
Speaking of production, IG making bad decisions.
Oh,
I suppose this will also be in that
Please,
law.
can you please read the first
Jaden
paragraph?
Smith is Kaz Khan. Neo Yokio.
Okay.
Okay.
Netflix announced on Thursday that Vampire Weekend band vocalist and guitarist Ezra Koenig is helming a new 6-episode animated series titled
Does
Neo
this
Yokio
count as anime though?
that will premiere all 6 episodes on Netflix on September 22nd. Nick Weidenfeld is serving
It's
as writer.
Japanese animated series.
But it's also like co-produced with America.
Yeah, I mean the people at the head are all American, but anyways, Nick Weidenfeld is serving as writer and executive producer. Koenig is collaborating with Production IG and Studio D for the series, as well as with South Korean studio MOI. Kazuhiro Furuhashi and Junji Nishimura are serving as storyboard artists for the series. So
Oh,
Did Will Smith pay for this?
Stars. Probably not. I feel like Will Smith has fucking disowned Jaden Smith a while ago. But the series stars Jaden Smith, Susan Sarandon, Jude Law, Tavi Gevinson, who?
yeah, Tavi Gevison, Jason Schwartz,
Jason Schwartzman, Desus, and Mero.
Yeah, that's Mero, I guess.
Who? Whatever.
Why is fucking Jude Law now too?
I don't know. Whoa, Steve Buscemi. Oh shit.
Okay,
Where-
so let me read off the
didn't
rest
it-
of the list. Richard Aoyade, Ike Barinholtz, Steve Buscemi, Alexa Chung, Stephen Fry, Katie Mixon, Anna Mahendru, Keeman Shipka, Willow Smith, and Amanda Stanberg.
Wait, Keenan and Kel?
No.
Oh,
Keenan
Keenan
Keenan.
Thompson.
Oh, lame.
So, what do you guys think? I mean, you guys saw the animation. You guys saw how it's being starred by Jaden Smith.
Why does he have pink hair?
First of all, I didn't see the animation and I didn't listen to it because I refused.
Why does he have pink hair?
Now that I know Steve Buscemi's in it, though,
He has pink
I
hair
think
because his eyes
everything's-
aren't real.
It's
how
like
can you know if that's his real hair color?
it's like cyberpunkish, I think, how it's working out. But I mean, what I would like to say is that it's a very interesting first. It's a very interesting sort of first sort of hands across the ocean. where it's like, what I mean by that is
This
like, first,
looks atrocious.
The
let me
animation in
finish.
this
Let me
looks like
finish.
fucking GI Joe.
So,
But
so it's like how it's like Porter Robinson and like Shelter and stuff like that, where I'm not gonna say it was like the greatest thing or whatever, but it's like they reached out and they're like, let me work with you on pictures. So these guys are kind of doing the same thing, and they're like first steps. As to whether it's good or not, I'm just gonna say like, you guys should just see the trailer yourself.
Is this the long-awaited sequel to Cory in the
boy,
House?
this is like a goddamn Newgrounds Flash animation from 2001.
And it has some
alright?
pretty good, like, animators back in this. The dude who did Rurouni Kenshin and Ranma. And
Yeah, but they also
They're
yeah,
did
they
doing
might
Pinocchio.
no. See, they're doing the storyboards. They're not doing the animation.
Yeah.
oh, okay, good.
The others, anyways.
No, not good. Actually, that's the opposite. Of
Does
good.
that mean South Korea's doing the animation in this one?
No, they're probably subcontractors. They're in between framers, probably. But anyways, moving on from Neo Yokio.
Are you guys gonna watch it? I'm gonna watch it.
This looks
Oh.
bad. Sounds bad. No.
You don't
people are
want
gonna eat
to
it
look
up.
up
Steve
a highlight of
Buscemi?
Steve Buscemi. That's all I'm gonna look up is a highlight reel of Steve Buscemi. I'm not.
I mean, I feel like this is just gonna make Jaden Smith even more of a fucking laughingstock. Like,
Yeah, pretty much.
I feel like this is just gonna add more to Netflix's $21 billion of debt. Is this?
yeah.
Yeah, pretty much how it works.
They
But
fucking they do Castlevania and they think that they.
anyways, if you
Castlevania was
want
good though.
I know that's what I'm saying.
but yeah, if you want to see a pink-haired African American being voiced by Jaden Smith in a cyberpunk
That's racist.
Neo Yokio,
What's
what do you
wrong with
mean?
people having pink hair?
That's not racist.
A lot, honestly.
A lot, but anyways, if you want to see that in a place called Neo Yokio with Netflix production IG and Studio Dean, please check that out. And on the other side, there's a little bit funnier series coming out in Japan, or it's like there was a manga, the manga original Osake wa Fufu Inatte Kara, or also known as, I believe the literal Japanese translation is I think it's like we became we became a couple because of like of wine, I guess, in this case.
That's what you
this-
call a shotgun wedding.
Yeah, god damn it.
Yeah.
The quote-unquote slightly sweet tipsy couple comedy manga centers on a 28-year-old senior public relations company staff member Chisato Mizusawa. The story follows Chisato's daily life as she enjoys her husband Sora's cocktails. Chisato has secrets that only her husband knows. So forth.
So are you saying he put something in her drink that'll make her want to marry him?
Yeah, liquor.
Triggered.
Yeah, I guess you could say, but yeah, it's being animated by Animation Studio Creators Impact. Who also did NTR Netsu's Trap, Miss Bernard Set, and Oji Santo Marshmallow.
Whoa.
So it's gonna be a
Marshmallow.
short.
Oh man.
Yeah,
That's
so
fine
it's
then.
so yeah, watch out for this wife or couple plus cocktail series coming to you soon.
That might be a fun short.
That'll be pretty fun.
How it
I-
depends on how deep they go into drinking booze. Is it like Shokugeki no Soma level?
Do they put cheese
I
in
think
the
it's-
wine?
Parmesan
Hey
cheese and
man,
ketchup.
wine and cheese go pretty well together.
Mix some
What if we
ketchup in
mixed
there.
them?
That's
That's how you make red wine. You just take white wine, a little bit of ketchup.
Seems
Uh,
good.
Yeah. Anyways, on the games front, there are a couple of series. I'm just gonna go through. The visual novel is developing. Is first Rock and Heart Games developing Chiro Ori no Hachimari no Shizuku, which is apparently is a thing about in the game the players use the device called quote unquote Tear to be able to travel freely between reality and illusion. I don't know what the fuck that means. And we'll solve
do
multiple
they die in
incidents-
if they die in the illusion? Do they die in real
die
life?
in real life.
Probably.
We'll solve multiple incidents involving serial kidnappings, the paranormal, UFOs, science fiction, espionage, the military, and other mysteries. Game story will eventually involve a battle with the beginning and the end of the world at stake. The mystery revolves around the quote
The
unquote
beginning of the world?
Yeah, the beginning of the world also dies. The mystery revolves around
What is this,
the
Evangelion?
third secret, the third secret of Fatima. Anyways, the game will allow players to view the story from the point of view of multiple protagonists using a quote-unquote multi-site system that will require players to solve complex mysteries to reveal the trick behind the plot.
What is this, Siren?
Oh, this is also
That mean-
VR.
Is this
Yeah,
Detective
this is
Conan?
VR, by the way.
Oh, nice.
This is gonna be fucked up.
VR Detective Conan.
Second VR thing coming out is Bandai Namco made a new summer lesson Shinjo Chisato Shichiyo no Etude, the new installment of Bandai Namco Entertainment's summer lesson virtual reality game. The hero Shinjo is a rich lady with short black hair and is more willful than previous two heroes. So for those of you who are have bought a VR headset and are more on the masochist side, Bandai Namco has gotten something for you.
Are they going to release Geese Howard as DLC for that?
Summer lesson with Keith Howard. Please.
I've been waiting for you.
Is this
Yes,
is this the one where that is this the same game where that dude in the VR gif was like drumming on her butt and she got really
No.
red? No,
No,
something else.
I don't think
that's different. Yeah, that's different.
What about
But
what
yeah.
about the one where the dude was like poking at her butt? Or
What about that one where like the guy was on his back on the ground with a machine strapped to his chest
Oh, the white,
and
like,
white suit?
Yeah,
Is
And
this
he's just
that
like-
same game?
I want that game.
that's also part of the summer lesson.
Localize that shit.
And the final thing is Bandai Namco Entertainment America announced on Friday that it will release. Announced on Friday that it will release Excel World vs. Sword Online Deluxe Edition on PC via Steam on September 12th.
okay.
Oh, thank God.
You know, the only thing stopping me from getting this game was that it wasn't announced for PC. But now that it's announced on PC,
Are we
Like-
streaming it?
there's nothing stopping me from
Dibs
buying
on
this game.
dibs on Silver Crow.
Are we streaming this game? I think we have like a meme obligation to stream this game.
Does this game have like multiplayer?
Does it have a create a character and stuff like the other one?
Does it have like a figure gallery?
Yeah, I don't know. The other Sword Art Online game looks better, where it's like the gun one, 'cause you can like not be Kirito in that.
Yeah. Or you have to be
Yeah.
the girl, right, or whatever. The girl.
No,
Kirito?
you can, you,
No,
just
you
be-
can make
you
Oh,
can pick.
really?
You can choose whether you want to be Kirito or not.
Okay.
yeah, and you can be a create a character, I think.
But they
right?
still call you
Yeah,
Kirito
you can
regardless, so
Yeah, I mean the story's not gonna change, but you can like make your own character.
you can hang out with Leafa and Lisbeth and they'll
Listen.
call you Kirito even though you're a chick.
The primary problem I had with fucking Sword Art with Kirito is not really him as like, a character.
That's true. Anyways, moving on.
You don't want to
one
be
last-
you don't want to be your OC, the lonely beater.
Moving on.
Moving on. The last piece of news we have before we just go on to sort of people news / obituaries is 3 people, or actually, Japanese police arrested 3 people on Wednesday for allegedly violating the Copyright Act by uploading Eiichiro Oda's One Piece manga from Shueisha's Weekly Shonen Jump magazine online before the manga's chapters were scheduled to be published. So I guess recently, or not recently, I guess a couple of weeks ago, there was that news about I guess like the Game of Thrones like script or whatever, like coming out, right?
Yeah.
Early. Now it's like One Piece. The 3 members are Yo Uehara Yo, 30-year-old self-employed male from Chatan, Okinawa Prefecture. Nagaya Shizuka, a 23-year-old freelance female writer from Totori Prefecture. And also Hotai Ryoji, a 31-year-old web designer from Akita Prefecture. So they essentially got copies of Weekly Shonen Jump from stores that sold the copies early, which is kind of silly, and using a scanner to copy chapters of the manga and upload them online. The police alleged that the pair had been doing this for a year as of July. The police also claimed that the pair had earned up to 75 million yen, which is about US $687,150 through website ads from the scans.
Now imagine if he was uploading like the One Piece ending. Oh boy.
Oh my god. In
Oh, the
addition,
thing that'll never happen.
the police alleged that Hotai had been copying the scans and uploading them to his own website. The police claim that Hotai may have earned up to 305 million yen, which is about 2.8 US dollars, on the site over 3 years. Uehara has allegedly accepted the charges, while Nagaya has partially denied, claiming that she had not been involved since last year. According to police, Hotai has accepted the charges, claiming that he launched the website to "quote-unquote" earn money for expenses. So yeah, don't do the shit, kids. It's bad, but
I mean, don't if it's One Piece. They might have gotten away with the smaller one, but not One Piece.
yeah, definitely not One Piece. But it's like it's kind of amazing how much money they earn just from like the website and ISM and everything.
Well, it is One Piece.
Yeah, I know, but I was just like he earned $687,000 in a year, like just through website ads. Like that's some traffic. That's
Haha,
traffic.
you get it? They pirated a One Piece.
God
Yeah,
damn it, Toad.
They
genius.
found the treasure.
Yeah.
Jail.
Anyways. Jesus. Anyways, again, don't do that. And, with that said, we'll move on to just the people news. We just have 2 people, unfortunately, who have passed away. First of all is Furuta Nobuyuki. Furuta Nobuyuki, a voice actor, passed away at 10 p.m. on Tuesday, August 29th at Kawasaki City Hospital due to a ruptured aneurysm in his bronchial arteries at the age of 59. He is best known for voicing the telepathic police officer Matt Parkman in the Japanese dub of the American live-action television series Heroes. He also voiced Sid Murr in Kinga Hyoryu Vifam, Ifakio, and Yu Yu Hakusho Ghost Files. The other voice actor, Seno Reiko, passed away on August 8th at the age of 84. Seno's best-known anime role was the title character of the Oba-san television series, which ran from 1983 to 1984. She also lent her voice to minor roles in other anime, including Himitsu no Ako-chan, Panda Go, Panda Go Panda, I guess, Eden of the East, Paradise Lost, and True Tears.
True Tears.
Also as a voiceover artist, she provided the Japanese dub for Lucille Ball in the I Love Lucy television series. That is old. Holy shit. She also acted on stage as part of the theater echo troupe. So again, please wish the best condolences, or wish condolences for their family and friends. And with that, we are finally on to the shoutouts and callouts. I thought this podcast would be shorter, but our Yojutsu and our Fate discussion ended up being a
Did you
lot.
expect? What did you expect?
I thought
from
this
Fate?
podcast was going to cover Nanamaru Sanbatsu, but I guess not.
Yeah, because we went straight into gaming.
Because someone decided to cover gamers.
Oh my god. Anyways. Yeah, okay. I actually tried to consciously make this podcast shorter, but it did not work out. I apologize. But the heavens above foiled me. But anyway, shout out to call out. Shout outs is one thing that each person wants to cover, whether it's person, place, or thing that they want to praise, and call outs is one thing that they want to look down on, insult, rant, rage about, whatever. And I guess I don't know. Oh yeah, no. Here's the. Oh no, I don't actually have anything right now, so I'll just pass it on to Dark. I thought I had something like for a call shot immediately, but didn't. So Dark, go.
Well,
Good job putting him on the spot.
yeah, thanks, man. No, don't worry. I have them all prepared. My call out is Spire. Not just for the podcast, but also that Spire made me watch Yojutsu, which I didn't want to, and I wanted to stop after an episode. And he was like, "You should watch 3," and I was like, "Okay." Also, I am calling out Spire because of something else, and I wanna say that this is my formal leave of the podcast because I'm joining
The carnival?
the Takoyaki brothers
The Takoyaki brothers.
in their endeavors.
Nice.
Because Spire also sent me the worst clip I've ever seen. Fucking Cleon.
Wait, yeah, have you seen that? The Takoyaki Brothers thing?
I don't think so. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're
Fuck, we have to
gonna
say-
have to. It might be one of the worst things I've ever seen. It broke me for a night. And yeah, so that's my call out. And obviously, it was a meme. I'll be here until I die.
Yeah.
Might be sooner than later if Spire keeps fucking sending me those things.
Oh, Jesus. Anyway. What is
And
your shout out,
yeah.
I think?
yeah, my shout out I guess I'll make to my new character in WoW that I just made today, which is in an RP server, and I got my RP add-on.
Wow, you
so
loser.
You seem strong.
we're gonna we're gonna see how this goes. Hopefully it goes better.
Is it back to your bar thing?
Huh?
Is it your bar thing?
Oh, how I ran a bar in WoW? No, I wish it. Wish. Maybe one day. Maybe one day I'll get the inn started back up again. But
What's your inn
it's
called?
been 10 years ago. I basically stole someone's inn that they had called the Outlaw Inn, and then I basically took it over because they stopped logging on. And yeah, that's what it was. It was a good time. What?
Alright. Wait, what?
I
Okay,
thought
never
Nier
mind.
said something.
Yeah.
Huh?
Okay, never mind. Okay. So I guess I'll just go
Near,
next.
did you see that picture of that really thick
Damn it.
Mrs. Fields bottle? Mrs. Butterworth?
What?
What?
Alright, no, okay, I'm going, okay. So
Was
my
that-
sh-
Could try that again in English, please?
okay,
You
I'm
see
going,
that really thick picture of Mrs. Butterworth's bottle thing? Here, I'll
No.
put it in Discord.
Alright, so let me do my
That's
shout-out
upsetting.
Yeah. Okay. So my shout out is to actually no, I have call out to do for my my call out is to fucking Fate because I blame Fate for making us have a podcast that I actually wanted to be shorter than the regular one. but
You
it ended
really
up being
only have
essentially-
yourself to blame.
I really do. I thought it was like I was so like underestimating.
Did you
Like-
really underestimate fate? Well, are you
Did you
never
really
gonna
underestimate Fate fans talking
Alright.
about Fate?
Are you
I'm
gonna
going to call.
Are
I'm
you
going
going
to
to
call out
underestimate
myself.
this again when we do freaking last encore
Yeah,
I-
really.
I'm
or
going
Heaven's
to.
Feel?
Yeah, I'm going to call myself out because I underestimated how fucking long we could take a discussion even about a freaking spin-off novel that was pretty much mostly about action scenes. But apparently it took like 40 plus minutes.
No, I mean we all saw it or read it, etc. So
I mean, yeah,
it
sure.
was bound to
There-
happen.
I mean, there are series that we've talked about for less time that definitely had more story than this.
Fate's a big deal, my dude.
My dudes. Yes, I'm calling myself out. My shout out is actually to Ritsu's forehead, one of the viewers in chat, because although he's actually not present right now because of some stuff, but
Rest in peace.
rest in pieces. But while I was going through all the Mobage stuff, the Idolmaster Mobage, he actually helped me out a lot. Like he helped me out a lot. So
Did
thanks.
did he roll your gotcha for you?
yeah, essentially, he's like, if you're gonna spend money on this, you should probably not just waste them on temples. I'm like, that's probably right. So he helped me with like reading all the moon and stuff like that. Although I mean, I can read a decent amount of them, but some of the other ones. So helping me out with that. So that's my shout out. Helping me through all this idle hell, but I'm still in idle hell, not like this. Nier. Shoutouts, callouts.
My shout out goes to myself because I'm so good at Final Fantasy XIV that I cleared V4S, which is so far the hardest raid right now.
Congratulations.
Made it totally.
I did it all by myself, no help whatsoever from anybody that I know.
Not even Dark.
yeah.
Dark, why didn't you help him?
Because
I
Dark
don't play that
doesn't
game.
play Final Fantasy at all, and he's a fucking loser.
Wow, what a jerk.
Yeah? How's that armor you got from that very hard raid?
My glam looks fine, dude.
Yeah, you're glam.
Yeah,
But that
my
fucking raid
glam.
drops hideous armor.
Yeah, most of the raids do.
There's no reason to run it.
That's, I mean, there's the reason of playing the video game, but what do I know?
I didn't think the raid was that. So I didn't.
Pretty fun. Callouts goes to Fire Emblem Heroes, cause they have banned emulators essentially. You can't play on a rooted device, and I got it kind of working on an emulator that essentially unroots the emulator in a very ghetto way. But I can't do much on it because it gives me an error like every 10 minutes, and it's the most infuriating fucking thing imaginable. So, fuck that.
Okay. So last but not least, we go Toast.
What's up?
Toast, call us, please.
Shout out is to. And my call out is to.
Okay.
Excellent.
My shout out
Alright.
is to Fate. I like you guys. You guys are pretty cool.
And your call out.
Call out is to DFO.
Why?
Why you guys gotta give me the Arthurian avatar set right now? Jerks. Why is King Arthur a boy in DFO? Obviously, King Arthur should be a knight, the knight class, which is a female, not a slayer. Idiot.
Alright, I guess with that, we are done with our shout out and call outs, and we are also finally done with uh, all of our segments. Sorry, I lost track of my thoughts for a second there because this took much longer. But anyways, if you again like what we do our anime, or we do reviews on Japanese animation media, focusing stuff on anime, manga, visual novels, web novels, light novels, etc., etc., etc. Every other Saturday starting from 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, on at twitch.tv/4PlayAnimecast. We record it here, and we distribute it in various formats, whether it's on Twitch VODs, YouTube VODs, or on an MP3 in iTunes and Google Play Music. We also have our own site at 4PlayerAnimecast.moe. That's again with the number 4, where we have all of our content written and audio organized for your viewing/listening pleasure. Follow us there. Follow us also on our social media, Facebook, 4PlayerAnimecast, and on Twitter, handle at 4PBAnimecast for updates on when the podcast is coming up and other events. And that, we are done. Again, there will be next episode will be our preview episode, Fall 2017, which is always one of our, busier episodes, so look out for that. Probably, what is there? I haven't counted yet, but there's probably something like at least 37, 38 plus. There's usually 40, 45 series-ish every season nowadays. But yeah, it's always a busy episode for that. But anyways, watch out for next time. Follow us here. Follow us on our website/social media, and see you next time.